Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 29th monthly TWitWoW Q&A. Guys, this is perfect. I'm really, really just ecstatic about the turnout of this Q&A. Starting this month, we added the new rule where if you're not a patron, you're only allowed 3 questions. If you are, you can get up to 5. And we would still like to encourage people to donate to be able to get their 5 questions, even if it's only $1, even if you don't have the $3 to be able to get into the Discord. $1 will get you 5 questions. It doesn't matter, how much more than that you donate. You'll get 5 questions no matter what. If you get up to 3, you'll get into the Discord, and all of the extra gets put into a little bit of an account that we keep track of so that you can request live reactions to wrestling shows that you want us to live react to. But all that being said, we finished this month at exactly 56 questions. And that, to me, like I always tell John, I like for us to be between 45 and 65, and we are smack dab in the middle of that. This is just glorious. I love it.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I was pleasantly surprised and shocked that this was the volume of our questions. So it seems like the new system's working out beauteously, like your face.
Absolutely.
And I am just looking forward to diving into this. So, man, let's make haste. Let's do this, man.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into it. And we will start with James, who I believe submitted his questions either during or maybe even before our last Q&A while we were recording, or maybe even a little beforehand. First up is, these are all, or no, 2 of them. The first 2 are for both of us. This first one, what are your thoughts in the results of the elections?
I was pleasantly surprised by the results, actually. I feel like ultimately, like the biggest win, well, I should clarify, the biggest win for people of my political persuasion was definitely Alexandria Cortez. I was not expecting that at all. That was huge.
Very exciting.
Sucks that Rick Scott became a senator, but even Florida got some wins, because even though Rick Scott is now senator, and I don't think the new governors people like very much, convicts and prisoners have been re-enfranchised, so they've gotten their voting rights back, which I think that's going to be a domino effect. I think that might have actually been the biggest thing, second to Alexandria's victory, because I feel like ex-cons getting their voting rights back and being able to participate in elections, that's a whole demographic that's been neglected for so long. And usually when one state kind of does a social experiment like this, depending on the results, it's not long before other states follow suit. I look at legalization of marijuana as like another example. So I think that was a huge victory to come out of Florida. And I friends with somebody that does that kind of social activism, for prisoners and stuff like that. So they were related with this. Cruz, kept his Senate seat in Texas, but it was very competitive apparently.
And that, like, the whole thing with Cruz and O'Rourke, I'm actually hearing a lot of people getting really enthusiastic about the idea of Beto O'Rourke running for president in 2 years.
Yeah, I've been hearing the same thing. And really, dude, on the whole, because I'm usually very jaded, and I hope this is one of the only few political questions we have on this Q&A, I'm going to take a different note. Regardless of what the politics are, I mean, obviously I prefer them a certain way, as does anybody. The youth turnout, though, was very, very encouraging. And I've been seeing more videos, dude, of people speaking up that are like much younger than us, like, 16 and stuff like that. And it's really beautiful to see. I may not always agree with it, but just seeing people in those demos actually care and show up and show out. The only thing that I will be cynical about, and I do reserve my right to do this, is I think that the major establishments, i.e. the Democratic Party in particular, is still so tone deaf about these victories that they're not going to get the most mileage out of them that they could if they were a bit smarter to the game of politics. That's all I'm going to say. But other than that, looking at things on the ground and looking at who showed up, it's very encouraging. So I'd say I'm actually optimistic for once, which is rare for me. So I'm just going to try and enjoy it. What about you, Ashton?
Yeah, no, you pretty much summed it up for me as far as being very excited about Alexandria being voted in. You bringing up the idea that convicts are now able to vote, I think that's huge as well. I mean, that could very easily be a major swing, especially in Florida, which is such a ridiculous swing state. And we had the whole controversy with the presidential election in Florida in 2000. They basically hand gifted George Bush the election, and then it came out later that Gore should have won it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if this is going to be enough to maybe just swing Florida to one side more so to the point that it'll make it less controversial, that'd be just wonderful,
I mean, dude, I think you and I even talked about it over a game of Rocket League because, of course, that's where our best conversations take place. I think that move in particular, I'm no political analyst, obviously, but I would pay attention to Florida in the coming years because I'm telling you, convicts are a demographic that have been largely neglected. To me, a lot of human rights abuses, a lot of civil violations, not being able to vote, struggling to find work. But if more states say, you know, give them their right to vote and this and that. I mean, this could be a demographic, and I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic, that could very easily decide presidencies. So I think this is absolutely huge. And yeah, that to me was easily the biggest, but maybe even overlooked thing to come out of the midterm. So I really wanted to emphasize that. But yeah, that's really all I've got to say without being redundant. I thought on the whole, it was positive. I mean, yeah, a few losses, but even in the grand scheme of things, you can see the tide is going somewhere, and it seems to be a good place. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Next question. I actually really find this to be kind of funny. James's second question is, if you had to create a podcast that's not sports related, what would it be? And John, you and I at one point had actually discussed making sort of a secular news discussion podcast where we would talk about things from sort of an attempt to be as objective as possible point of view and not kind of lean one way or another.
Yeah. I do remember us discussing that. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we kind of have those mini podcasts on Q&A because I'm amazed how many political questions we get like every month. I don't know. Somebody enjoys the masochism of hearing at least my political opinions. But yeah, that was definitely an idea. I mean, obviously,
I think what that would really come down to is like, if we would ever do that, you would almost have to do the majority of the work the way I do with TWitWoW, and you would have to kind of do like the research and come up with topics, and you would just bounce things off of me, and I would just give my opinions, and then we would have discussions about it. Like that would be what that would be, because I have no clue where to even look for current political news. So that would be.
Brother, I'll tell you, it just stuff's happening all the time. Like every time you turn around, you think, oh, well, it was an eventful day, and just something else, another log on the fire, if you will. But
right, yeah, and see, like you see that, but I don't see that at all. I'm like, something huge happens, like a school shooting or a big election or something like that, I'll be in the know about that. But you talking about stuff's happening every day, I'm very much ignorant to that.
But separate of that, to kind of answer James's question, if I was more media savvy, because I've tried YouTube and I've tried things outside the written word, obviously I would do something philosophy related. But I think the two reasons why I haven't tried anything like that, one, there are already so many amazing philosophy based YouTube channels that the market, I think, is just kind of cornered and really has no place for me in it. And two, just looking at myself personally, I think in that forum, I'm far better as just a writer and as an essayist and just keeping things to the written word and not so much a visual medium. But if I could, in an ideal world, if every circumstance, both personal and, just more kind of broad outside of myself, were to meet up, I'd say like a philosophy podcast or something. Do you have any other alternative ideas? Just like something you would do? I mean, I assumed like a football something or whatever, but maybe you could. Oh,
well, no, he did say if you had to create a podcast that's not
sports related. Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't be able to do the football one. I would probably do like a retro gaming podcast. Maybe I've really lasting long because I don't really have that much experience with retro gaming, but like maybe pick a game a week that I played as a kid, or I wouldn't even be able to do it once a week. It would probably be like a monthly thing, really, because of the time I pour into this stuff when I want to try and talk about it. But I would probably pick one game a month that I was really passionate about as a kid and revisit it and like talk about the ins and outs and like, little things that people might not know about the game and stuff like that. That's like the only other kind of podcast that I could ever see myself having.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I guess we can move on to our third question from James. This is just for you, John, and it's very relevant to what you've been kind of doing with James lately. What was your favorite episode of season 5 of Arrow?
Favorite episode? Honestly, James, and I know he's not here in chat right now, even though I did do mass tagging. In fact, I know why he's not here, and I hope he's doing well. But had to be the finale. I don't know if anybody cares about Arrow, so what I'm going to do is what I usually do. I'm going to give like a 5-second countdown, then talk spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The finale of just them, like Adrian taking Oliver's friends And going back to Lian Yu, you know, the island that he came back from for that final showdown, the fight scenes were so well done. And the ending, because fucking Prometheus, who was the district attorney, Adrian Chase, like, such a great fucking villain and just so diabolical. And just the way it all ended with him, you know, kind of cheating to win, so to speak, because he had rigged the island with all these explosives because he wanted to prove to Oliver that, like, you're a killer through and through, and that's never going to change. Oliver refused to kill him. And he said, look, you kill me. And then it got to a point where they were on a boat. And Adrian told Oliver, like, hey, either you kill me, which kills your friends, and if you don't kill me, I'm going to kill your son, because he had him in kind of like a chokehold, like could have just snapped his neck at any moment. Well, Oliver shoots him in the foot because it's like, okay, well, that pain's going to get my son back, and it's also going to keep my friends safe. But then Adrian shoots himself in the head, and just the final image of season 5 is that island going up in fucking smoke, and we have no idea who lived and who died. So it was probably one of the best cliffhangers the show has done. That plus the return of Deathstroke, like, that's always a fucking plus. So yeah, the finale of season 5, not to make it a cop-out, not to go for the easy answer, but it really was like a work of fucking genius. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So.
All right. Very thorough answer. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Next up, we've got 3 questions from Hypothesis. First up, if TWitWoW was a wrestling promotion and had a brand split, who would be each of your major champions? And he has it split down as a world champion, a mid-card champion, a women's champion, and a tag team champion. And I mean, he's saying if TWitWoW was a wrestling promotion, so I'm assuming he's talking about like champions among the fans.
Right. So world champion for me would be Abel, because I want my world champion to be devastatingly handsome so that they can do public appearances. And I mean, who better than Abel? Tag champions, because I'm a heel, I'm going to book me and Sal to be tag team champions so that Art can imitate life, because we're tag team champions on Tweetoff. Mid-card champion, I'm going to say Kim Yamamoto is going to be my mid-card champion, because he shows up just enough, I think, to give that little rub to the rest of the competitors. And Ella would be my women's champion. Yeah. So who are your champions?
All right. Well, the women's champion, since you took Ella, that kind of leaves me with a really obvious option here. Jackie. I mean, nobody knows more about women's wrestling than Jackie, so she would be an amazing champion because she would be able to just counter everything everyone would want to do to her before they even know they're going to do it, because she just knows everything they're going to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's an excellent point.
My world champion would be a heel, smarmy Mark Schoeneman, because, you know, he calculates everything. He knows everything that's going to happen before it happens too. Like I might even make he and Jackie a part of a stable. Like these are the people that are just going to outsmart everyone.
Yeah, that dude, I fucking love that. Absolutely. Math is evil, so Mark should absolutely be a heel. I completely agree with that booking for sure.
My tag team champions. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to make my tag team champions Cliff and Asia, and we're going to have some, like, you know, intergender matches in the tag team division, because I don't mind intergender. I kind of like it, actually. So our tag team champions are going to be Cliff and Asia. And then I'm going to make my sort of mid-card, but you all know he's eventually going to be a world champion at some point. It's inevitable champion, Javaris.
Oh, using that wealth. Yeah, yep. I'm down with all this. I'm down.
He might even pull a Marty and buy his way into the world championship picture. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Well, I like those answers. We can move on.
All right. So up next, we've got our second question from Hypothesis, just for me. What do you think of the new Pokemon Meltan and its evolution Melmetal? God, I know that he's steel type. I'm going to look up Meltan because I don't know what, I think it's dual type. I don't know if it's just steel. It is just steel. Okay. I mean, you know, it's kind of cute, I guess. It's all right. Like, I don't know. I'm not really super into the Let's Go games because they're not really like core series games to me. But yeah, I mean, Meltan's fine. I'm looking at its moveset right now and it seems kind of limited. Maybe Melmetal has more of an open, I bet it has like a bunch of fighting moves and shit. It's, yep. Fighting, yep. Superpower, there it is. Yep. Break. Yeah, I knew it had fighting moves. Oh, it has Bolt Beam too. Okay, yeah. Melmetal seems pretty legit. Let me look at its stats. Okay, so it's a physical tank. I like that. Yeah, Melmetal's probably pretty good, but Steel is kind of a shitty defensive type because now you're weak to 3 of the most common offensive types in the game. So yeah, I mean, it's all right. As far as design, it looks cool. I love the design. It looks really cool. I like the washers that are kind of prominent in the design. But yeah, man, I don't really have too many thoughts on it. Next up, though, our third and final question from Hypothesis is just for you, John. Would you rather be? Oh wow, this is graphic. Would you rather be? Would you rather be raped by many little goblins or only one giant goblin?
One giant goblin, because I would hope that he would look at me during, and I would think that the spooning, if he felt at least the least bit remorseful, would be fantastic afterwards. So I'll say one giant goblin for that one.
So, like, you're gonna be Khal Drogo's Khaleesi.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha. Next set of questions are from Brandon Best. We only got 4 from him. He is eligible to get up to 5. I guess he just didn't have a 5th one that he was, super excited about asking. First up, for you, John, who are your favorite philosophers?
Oh boy. I don't want to take up the whole Q&A here.
That's like asking me, who are your favorite football players? Like, come on, man. This is a general question.
It's
people, John.
yeah, really. It's I'm kind of gonna give, and I know like people would have every right to call me out, because some people I'm gonna say I haven't formally read yet, but I've gotten like cursory overviews of like their thought and their ideas and stuff like that, and I found them very attractive. I'm definitely a big lover of French philosophy. A lot of people from the French tradition, Sartre from the 20th century after World War II. I'm going to be honest, and I've been saying this for years, and people can hate me if they want. Atheists like him, I would take over the new crop of people like Sam Harris any day of the week. I think if anybody...
Is Sam Harris really that new, though?
I mean, well, newish relative to somebody in the 20th fucking century.
Right.
So, but
I get what you're saying.
I would say Sartre, like one of my favorite philosophical works that is very brief, and I think is one of the best defenses of atheism that I've really ever read, was Existentialism as a Humanism, because, and my friend Angel even got me a shirt with one of Sartre's most famous sayings, existence precedes essence. So, in theological circles, it's always that God kind of imparts to us an essence, but with the existentialists, since they kind of renounce a God, well, at least the secular existentialists, they renounce a God. So man always fashions their own essence. And I find that incredibly inspiring. Again, I think it's a superb piece of philosophy that, again, is very brief. Excellent defense of atheism and kind of I wouldn't say a call to arms, but just like what it's mainly about from a metaphysical standpoint. So Sartre is great. Plus, his work, Being and Nothingness, was the first like LSD trip I had with continental philosophy. So kind of has me in the feels there. Foucault's another great French philosopher because he questions a lot of power structures, a lot of norms. I've been dying to read his history of sexuality because he kind of traces the genealogy of sex and like how in ancient Greece there was like a lot of homosexuality that was very open and celebrated. But now you see that it's more like vilified, even in the contemporary era with the gains that we've made. It's almost like we went backwards. Same way with things like mental illness and criminality. There were certain periods in certain civilizations where mental illness, you look at like Joan of Arc, hell, some people have even theorized that Socrates with his daimon, was kind of like a mental illness, and they were exalted as geniuses and conquerors and this and that. And now we institutionalize them. We do shock therapy, this and that. So I find his historical studies fascinating. So I'd say Foucault there, Sartre there. I'm trying to think who else. I mean, Plato, obviously. What's crazy is...
Who was the dude that talked about strangling the last priest with the entrails of the...
Oh, Denis Diderot, who also wrote the first encyclopedia from my favorite historical period, the Enlightenment. So thank you for that reminder, Ashton.
There you go. See, I remember quotes.
Yeah, there you go. You're adorable. Jean-Jacques Rousseau is another one. Again, another Frenchman, but this is from the Enlightenment period. He was actually more of a counter-Enlightenment thinker. He really didn't care for all of the artists and philosophers, despite being a philosopher himself. So, you go figure. And yeah, really. But I actually really do enjoy his writings, his discourse on the arts and sciences. It's just a very interesting look into his mind, and his on the origins of inequality. I think it's actually one of the earliest socialist works. I mean, there's probably stuff a lot earlier, obviously, but it's one of the earliest that I certainly encountered. Speaking of, got to give some love to Karl Marx there, Communist Manifesto. And you know what? I think I think I'm going to stop it there. I could keep going, but I know we have other questions and I don't want to be selfish, so I will stop it there. But I definitely want to emphasize, for me personally, the French tradition, because I think there's just so much just wonderful stuff in there, and I love it, and I want to read a lot more of it than what I've been able to, but just a lot of great thinkers there. So just what I thought I'd put out there.
Awesome. I'm glad you got to talk about your passion. I know football questions. I feel like you don't get as many philosophy questions, so it's always cool when you...
I feel like our Q&As are better for that fact, but I'm always grateful when people actually genuinely do care and want to ask. So, next question.
Oh, God. Brandon asked me, out of all of the really bad wrestling storylines, which one is your favorite? Oh. Well, I typically just don't like bad storylines, but if I had to pick one that was my favorite, it would almost have to be like a so bad it's good kind of thing. And based on that, I mean, I almost have to go with the walkout storyline, right? Like, that was just so absurd, and I was angry at it almost every week. But then, like, the actual walkout segment with Punk on commentary and doing the bell ringing and stuff, and like that was entertaining to me, even if it was such a dumb storyline. It at least had that one redeeming quality. So I'll just say that.
I just remember when they were taking that vote. Sorry, Hunter, no confidence.
Oh, Foster, that's a great point. Anything from the early NXT when it was a game show is a great answer to this question, because I mean, the game show stuff, and then, oh God. And honestly, as far as just like a pure, like so bad it's good entertainment standpoint, NXT season 2 was a goldmine too, because of the Derek Bateman, Daniel Bryan pairing, because Derek Bateman and Daniel Bryan had like these great backstage segments where Bryan was teaching him how to do submissions. And, you know, we had the double date with the Bella twins, and then the one game that they played where they had to like fill in the blank, and if the rookie and the vet had the same answer, they got a point, and they like pre-planned it ahead of time to try and cheat their way into winning. Like it was a great season. That was season 4, I guess. I thought that was season 2. Season 2 was the Caval season. I forgot about that. That's like the forgotten season because just nobody came out of that. But yeah, I really enjoyed the first, I guess it would be the first 4 actually seasons then of the NXT game show, just from a so bad it's good perspective. They were hilarious because season 3 went off the deep end too, because that was the season with the women, and Michael Cole on commentary was just ridiculous. And this was during, I believe, the heel Cole run too, before he, you know, had, you know, the humiliating moment at WrestleMania against Lawler. But yeah, like it was hilarious. So seasons 1 through 4 of the NXT game show are also really, really good as far as so bad it's good wrestling content. All right, let's move on though. Next up, Johnny Scumbag. What are your thoughts on the Brandon Rogers Aristocrats video?
God damn it. I wanted to watch that before we went live, but it slipped my mind because I had some family stuff to deal with. So wait, let me...
See, Brandon, this is why you don't ask us to watch stuff we haven't seen before, just to answer one question.
Yeah, man, because a lot of stuff gets in the way. Let me see how long this is.
Use this Brandon, I believe, was the same one that had you watch the entire first season of 13 Reasons Why. You didn't deserve that.
No, I didn't, and then it became a guilty pleasure, which is my fault. I accept full responsibility for that. But let's see, Brandon Rogers Aristocrats video. Oh wow, this is over 5 minutes. Yeah, no way we're gonna be able to do this. All right, Brandon. You know what?
Ask the question again for the next Q&A. And
you know what? I'll even do him one better because I think he actually even asked this last Q&A too, and I didn't do it then either. So I do apologize, Brandon. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna watch this separately, but then I'm gonna DM you my thoughts on it. So I'll just give you my answer then. This way, it's not pinned down to a Q&A, which is just crazy because we're getting questions together and all that stuff. I will watch this separately. I will tell you how it is. So that question will get answered, just not right now. I promise. So, yeah. All right. Next question.
4th and final question from Be Best is, any favorite horror films? I have a really good one answer for this that puts the end to all other horror films, and that is Cabin in the Woods. If you've watched Cabin in the Woods, you never need to watch another horror movie ever again because it answers everything. But, John, I know you have a lot of really good answers for this too.
First of all, bro, I love your answer. I'm only going to give 2 because, again, I want to be economical here. The first Halloween, John Carpenter was a fucking genius. I still feel like, and that was like back in the 70s. And to be perfectly honest, with the exception of a few, like you gave an exception with Cabin in the Woods, I feel like a lot of horror movies don't even touch the original Halloween anymore. Especially because if you're a kid like me when I first watched it, there's just a presence to it. And the way that Michael Myers, it's not like a slasher because they even call him in the credits The Shape. And I fucking love it because it's like he just kind of pops in and out. Again, it's not overly gory. It's just like this air that's kind of like weighing down on you. And it's just amazing. But actually, too, I want to recommend, as a disabled man, I love this take on horror. And there were many great commentaries on it. A Quiet Place. It was this, dude, that movie was, and I'll tell you, I even tried to be quiet along with the movie because normally I'm cool with like talking to my family and reacting to stuff, but I really wanted to immerse myself in that world by not making any noise. No, we watched it at a really shit time. If I could watch it again, it would probably be around this time of year, late at night, because I know that like no noise goes on around this time. But even with the shitty environment, I still jumped like 4 or 5 times, maybe even more than that. What I like about it is it's this creature that's terrorizing this world that has like really hyper sensitive hearing. So like any noise that's made, it just pounces on you and kills you. And I don't want to give too much away, but I will say, as far as disability,
and the thing is, like, it's not even like they prey on everything that they kill. They just kill because I guess they're just like, because of how sensitive they are to sound, they just can't handle it. So they want to just get rid of anything that makes sound.
Yeah, to a point. And I will say too, like, even though I'm not a part of the deaf community, like cerebral palsy is my disability, I will say the representation of disability, because there's an actual deaf actress in the film, and the way they utilize disability in the context of the monster, I thought was so fucking cool. So I really did become one of my favorite horror films. One, because of the creature. I thought the world was really clever in this day and age where I feel like you've kind of seen everything in that genre, and just the way that they kind of invert disability, because you normally feel like in any horror world that would be a weakness, and it's kind of a strength in this world. I just think is so badass. So yeah, I really have to recommend A Quiet Place, but I absolutely agree with you too about Cabin in the Woods, because watching that with you was a fucking experience. Like I said, the original Halloween, and I also have to thank Ashton for this one. The first Trick or Treat, really good horror film.
That was going to be the other one that I was going to mention was Trick or Treat, a good one. Yeah, that was just a fun, like, you got to watch every year in late October for Halloween kind of thing.
And I'll even tack on 2 more. God, I really didn't want to do it, but now you got me like excited because we're talking about these. I would say the first 2, and I want to emphasize the first 2 because Clive Barker didn't do the rest of them that went to like straight to DVD. The first 2 Hellraiser films, I think, are fucking fantastic. Like the makeup effects and the special effects.
And you know what? I'll even add in, since we're talking about things that are kind of in the horror genre, I'll add in really the first 2 Alien films. And really, especially the first one, because the second one was a little less horror, a little more, different stuff. I don't want to be specific, but yeah, like the second one wasn't as pure horror movie as the first one. The first one was very much a horror film. And they're all sci-fi too, but the first one was much more horror than anything.
Absolutely, yeah. So
I think that's it for this one. That concludes Brandon Bet. God, what the hell is wrong with me? I think I have a stroke. That concludes Brandon Best's questions, and now we can move on to Racist Fan Rocks, who is now in chat, and he asked earlier, "Oh, did you guys get to my question?" Nope, not yet, but now we did. First question: if Trump runs in 2020, will he win, and are we going to be more miserable?
I'm going to stick to my guns. I've been saying forever that I think Trump's going to be a 2-term president. I don't know.
And to me, it depends entirely on who he's opposing. If they fucking shoehorn Hillary back in there, Trump's winning.
And you know that they might too.
If they get a Democratic elect that Democratic voters are genuinely passionate about, and they actually show up, then no, Trump won't win.
Can I ask you something real quick before we table this? Because I said very, very curtly that he's going to get reelected if he runs in 2020. But I've been hearing that Bernie might consider running again. Do you think he would have less steam this time around, being older than this and that, or do you think he would have?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I feel like, aren't Bernie and Trump very similar in age?
I want to say yes. I'm not sure.
Googling. Donald Trump is 72. Bernie is 77. So,
Ooh.
Bernie by year 2, if he were to be elected president, and I know this is going to get used against him, if he were to be elected president, year 2, he'd be 80.
Yeah.
He'd be the oldest president of all time, I believe. And that's going to get used against him. And, as much as I would absolutely love for America and the DNC to unfuck their fuck up and elect him as president, the fear mongering that's going to go down as far as, if they elect Bernie, then we're going to be dealing with the vice president as president within a few years. It's probably not going to happen. It would be wonderful. That's probably best case scenario if I'm being realistic, especially because, whoever Bernie picks as his vice president is going to be a damn fine candidate to be president or I shouldn't say when, because there's no guarantee that a guy's going to die in his early 80s. But if he would pass while active, I would still have more faith in whoever he chooses as vice president than fucking Hillary or whoever she would choose as vice president or whatever,
I would. Oh no, I'm sorry. What were we going to say? Just kind of finish off your sentiments.
I was just going to say, so yeah, like if Bernie running means that it's like you're voting both for him and his vice president, then I'm still more likely to want to vote for that duo, knowing that Bernie picked the vice president, than vote for most other possible Democratic candidates.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to run or not. I don't even know how I would feel if he were run or not. Like, I'm not ready to kind of work through all that because we don't even know if it's happening yet.
Right.
I will say, though, if Bernie was to run and be successful, I would hope that he would pick a VP that, like, is definitely more inclined to his viewpoints and is not.
Yeah, like I was even thinking, like maybe he picks someone like Alexandria or, someone along those lines, someone like a younger. Maybe even like a Beto O'Rourke. That would be amazing. Bernie and O'Rourke, that would be holy shit.
I don't know though how similar they are in like political.
I don't know either. I don't know anything about Beto O'Rourke's actual policy. All I really know is that he damn near turned Texas blue.
Yeah, because I mean I don't want to get on my bullshit here, but the only reason I really stress that is I would hate for Bernie to pick somebody like more moderate and that would make more concessions to the other side.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. Yeah. And I saw, that's right. Hypothesis mentioned that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is under 35. She'll be 35. I think I looked it up the other day and it was like late October, early November of 2024. So I think that means she'd be eligible for the 2024 election, but I'm not even sure about that. She might have to wait till 2028 if she wants to run for the big seat.
Yeah, I'm looking up this Ojeda, if I'm even pronouncing that right, because
I'm assuming it's Ojeda.
Ojeda, yeah, you're probably right about that. I'm looking him up because Hypothesis keeps mentioning him. I'm on the wiki, but I'll read it later. But in the meantime, yeah, I guess we can move on to our next question.
All right, next question from Racist Fan Rocks. If you were in Harry Potter, what would you want to learn?
Everything.
Like that was like when I saw this question, that's what I was thinking too. Like, what wouldn't I want to learn? Like,
yeah, like it's magic.
I want to learn how to do spells. I want to learn how to make potions. I want to learn how to, I forget what the word is, but how to transform into an animal if it's possible. I think it's like an animagus. That's what it is, an animagus. I want to learn how to do that if it's possible for me to do, if I have that in my blood or whatever it is. I want to learn. I want to learn the history of the wizarding world. I want to learn everything, man. There's nothing that I wouldn't want to learn. I'll tell you what I wouldn't want to learn. I wouldn't want to learn anything that the Ministry of Magic does because I don't give a single fuck about those fuckers.
Yeah, I mean, I'd want to learn how to have a successful film franchise so I can make bank while being a
there you go.
At the same time. Like, fuck
yeah, hell yeah.
No, in all seriousness, yeah, it's like it's magic. Whether you're more scientifically minded or you're more like philosophically and humanistically minded, like humanities, like myself, like magic, I feel like is kind of that middle of the Venn diagram because like I just feel like that has an affinity for anybody. Really, the only thing I'd be less inclined to learn, only because of how I am personally, probably wouldn't learn to care too much about like how to fly a broom or whatever, like how to do any of that flying stuff. I'd probably be too terrified to even use it.
But what if there are like modified brooms for people with disabilities? That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. Or you can even just get my wheelchair to fly, a flying fucking wheelchair. Yeah,
dude, you could enchant your wheelchair. Yes.
Yeah, and then I'd like because I'm a magician, so it doesn't matter. So I would just cut a hole out in the bottom, and then I could just shit out on the open ground with people on land. I'd be like, I'm your god now. So yeah,
that's got to be some kind of version of dark magic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You kidding me? So what's the next question?
Son of a bitch. Third and final question from Racist Fan Rocks. If Conor McGregor is the next great MMA fighter to go to WWE, how would you bring him in? And then how would WWE bring him in?
Oh.
First of all, I wouldn't bring him in. I mean, I know he's a big deal. If you're going to bring him in, it's got to be as like the way they brought Tyson in, like a special guest ringside something or other at a WrestleMania. Because the dude is like 145 pounds. Like, Vince, really, even if we were in control of the creative, I don't know, man. Like I just feel like the way Vince is so biased towards size, I just can't imagine anything positive happening with McGregor, given that he's like 5'9", 145. Like he is legitimately the lightest dude on the roster if they would bring him in. So I don't know.
I gotta tell you, dude, not to piggyback off of you, although I'm totally about to do that here. I think that probably is how I would bring Conor in. I would have him, look, if we're gonna do Becky Ronda as the main event, I would bring him in as the special enforcer. If you want to talk about the Stone Cold parallels of Becky, Stone Cold had Tyson, Becky can have Conor. And I know that Conor can't hit Ronda the way that Tyson knocked out Michaels, but maybe Becky could just knock out Ronda. I mean, she's used to it already, right? So yeah, and then her and Conor just celebrate like her winning the Raw or regaining the SmackDown Women's Championship or whatever, and then
bring in Conor as Becky or someone else's manager. Like let him.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
That's like the big appeal to Conor, really, is his promos. Like, yeah, we know he's a great fighter. No one's going to question that, but the thing that sets him apart, that makes him a bigger star than the other UFC fighters, is how great he is at talking.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's like a wrestler basically already in UFC, because he has like this sort of arrogant prick heel character that he plays.
Absolutely. I mean, dude, now to answer the other half of the question, because there were two halves, not just how we would do it, but how we think WWE would do it. I honestly, well, yeah. But I honestly, because of his size and everything, which I'm glad Ashton brought that up, I feel like they would do something with him similar to what they did with Floyd Mayweather when he got in that match with the Big Show. Now, if like
if he was going to have a match, they'd probably give him a match with a giant like Strowman.
I was even going to say, yeah, I bet you that they would turn Strowman heel simply for that program and have Conor freaking go over. So actually, that'll be my answer on the WWE side, because I can't imagine that it's probably going to still be like a few years down the way. Strowman will probably turn heel again during that time, I would have to think. And yeah, you have him as a heel, and you do Conor on the other side. You do it at a Mania, and Conor wins and instantly legitimized. So yeah, I'd say that. But for me personally, instantly stick him with Becky. You know, a badass woman having a hype man like that, you know, kind of inverting the roles. I think that would be so fucking cool. And honestly, you know, stuff like that makes me wish that WWE didn't care as much about intergender violence and stuff like that, because I would just have those two run roughshod on everybody and just not give a fuck. Like, it'd be amazing, but not gonna happen. Cool. Yeah. So,
all right. Next, we've got 3 questions from Rotten Butter. You know what the first one is, John, so you want to get to it, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first this time, friend.
All right. Well, to start things off, John and I have spent the month going through the Marvel Netflix series, and I made the discovery that my second favorite single season out of all of the Marvel Netflix series, first, of course, being Jessica Jones season 1. My second favorite, though, is Iron Fist season 2. It's fucking amazing, you guys. Like, it's really genuinely good. And I also have a new least favorite, with my previous least favorite actually having been Iron Fist season 1. My new least favorite is Luke Cage season 2. What the fuck were they thinking? Seriously. So yeah, like we went through every single Marvel Netflix series except for Daredevil season 3, which we're currently 5 episodes in on right now. So we're in progress as far as that goes, and that's the last one. And then after that, we are probably going to go back and rewatch some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like seasons 4, 5, And because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6 is happening soon, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7's already been confirmed as happening, which kind of blew my mind because of the fact that Season 6 was a shorter season. So that's exciting. I've also spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks looking at like Game of Thrones theories and stuff and like trying to kind of piece together like everything that's happened and what might happen in season 8 and stuff like that. I'm very excited for Game of Thrones season 8, and that I guess the sort of speculated return date, the speculated date that will show up at episode 1 is April 28th of 2019. And then we've also got The Magician season 3 or season 4 actually coming up in January. That'll be exciting, but that doesn't really have anything to do with what I've watched this month. As far as things I've played, I've actually been a little bit more on a Pokemon kick lately. I played through Yellow and beat that, and I've been playing through Crystal, and I damn near beat it, but then I came up against Red and got kind of demolished, so I started the game over, and I'm going to try and raise up a better team. Just going to kind of go through like the third titles of each game series. So it's going to go Yellow, Crystal, Emerald, Platinum, and then it kind of gets muddled because there's no gray version. It's just black 2, white 2, and then there was no Pokemon Z. So, that's going to be fun when I get to that. But still, yeah, I've, just kind of been doing my thing. John and I've been playing Rocket League still. As far as movies, I did watch Peter Rabbit this month, and it was very cute. God, what didn't we watch a movie or two this month, John? I don't know. I don't even remember.
I don't even, dude. We've been consuming that.
I feel like it's mostly just been the Marvel Netflix stuff, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. We handing this over to me now, partner. Or is there anything else you wanted to say?
I do just want to respond to Javaris in chat. Yeah, Iron Fist getting like Luke Cage after season 2. I don't even mind that it got canceled because fuck Luke Cage season 2. That was the worst shit. But Iron Fist getting canceled after season 2 is a fucking tragedy. Now, don't get me wrong. I would not mind seeing more Luke Cage if they would fix the bullshit that they pulled off in season 2. But I need more Iron Fist in my life after season 2 because that was amazing. So, anything else in here that I can answer? No, I don't think so. So, dude, it's up to you now. You got this.
All right. Oh man, that's a lot of pressure. I do want to echo your sentiments too about Iron Fist. Like, it got so much hate from the first season, and a lot of it I didn't understand why.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, like, I know that before we watched Luke Cage season 2, Iron Fist season 1 was still like at the bottom of my list, but that's not because I thought it was bad. It's more just because I thought every other season that we had watched was so good. Luke Cage season 2 is the only Marvel Netflix show that I have legitimately disliked. I did not enjoy most of that season, and especially the ending of that season. That was the only Marvel Netflix show that I legitimately felt contempt towards.
Yeah, it was bad. It was
because I enjoyed everything else. And like John, before we watched it, John kept saying like, "Oh, Jessica Jones season 2 is awful. I hate it." And I was like, watching it, I thought it was fine. I thought it was decent. I enjoyed it. It was fine to me. But then we got to Luke Cage season 2, and John had not seen that yet, so he didn't really have an opportunity to tell me whether it was good or bad in his eyes. So when we watched it, I just like, Luke was a fucking dick the entire season. And then at the end of the season, when it felt like he was finally going to redeem himself, I was like, oh, good for you, Luke. Then they show him doing the thing that I thought he was going to not do that would have redeemed him. And he's a fucking dickhead, power-hungry asshole now. So no, fuck Luke Cage season 2.
Yeah, and I second that. I hated it so much, I actually even said that I might have been too hard on Jessica Jones season 2, which is really saying something, because you guys aren't around me the way Ashton is. Fucking hated that season with a fucking passion.
Yeah, like when we were watching it, because we have to rewatch things because, like, sometimes one of us hasn't seen it. Sometimes we've seen it, but then we want to bring my mom in on it because she likes to watch this kind of stuff with us. So, there's some rewatch that goes on occasionally. And like, while we were rewatching for John, it was a rewatch, but it was the first time that I had ever seen it. Jessica Jones season 2, he was just dreading it. Like, he was making fun of people, and like the whole way, it was just like, oh God, I can't wait to be done with this and that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, dude, it's really not that bad. But then Luke Cage just, no, fuck off.
Yeah. Just to kind of take over about what I did. I mean, the usual. I really haven't discovered any new music groups. I did get a bit deeper into this group called Nevertell with one L, so it's Nevertl.
Nevertell.
Yeah, there you go. played some Mario Kart 8 recently with the family. I'm one of those quiet competitors. I don't really trash talk much, and I do pretty decently. Chris smokes us, though. I feel like he's really good at that game. You mentioned the Rocket League. I've been playing more 2K. I want to say 16. Yeah, it's 2K16 that I own. And, that was good. I made Kofi Kingston WWE champion, so I'm already more progressive than the actual WWE. I beat The Undertaker. I think I was inspired because I actually did some retreading. I watched some stuff from the Booker T Triple H storyline, and yeah, it really was as bad as I remember it being. So I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm just gonna make Kofi world champion, and so that was pretty cool. Philosophy. I've been reading some German philosophy. It's been quite interesting. I'm trying to prep for a conference in Michigan, but I really haven't settled on a topic yet. I think I have an idea of where I might go, but I'll probably change my mind on that too because I'm just a mess. Didn't really do any kind of serious reading this month, partially because of health, partially because of time. Let me think of what else I did. Obviously cheered my little heart out for Kyrie, who's feeling better finally. Love you, Kyrie. That was great. Wrestling was pretty solid this month. I can't really. I listened to a lecture the other day regarding Plato and philosophical wonder that a woman gave at a college. And I've got other stuff that I'd like to listen to, but I'm
oh yeah, we watched the first few episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V.
Oh, fuck that, man.
John was so angry about the English dub that he listened, like he changed the audio to like German and then French dubs because he couldn't handle the English dub. So he just wanted to read the subtitles and have literally any other audio playing. And he got to the point that he said, fuck it, and just started watching the shows on mute.
Yeah, honestly, that's the thing. I like the world, and they've done some clever little spins on the game, but I don't know about you guys. Maybe I'm just too anal for my own good that I don't deserve things, but I am just so anal about dubbing. Like, if it's bad, sub exists for a reason, and fuck you, Netflix, for not having a Japanese option. In fact, fuck you twice for that, actually, the more I think about it. Because you're awful. In fact, speaking of, I did watch a random episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D, and imagine my fucking shock when in the English dub version, Tristan is Yusei in that show. So I'm like, oh my god, look who's getting a push. You go to like the main duelist. Holy fucking shit, Tristan.
And Tristan was always the jobber of the group too. Even Teo, Teo was portrayed as a way better duelist than him.
Yeah, so like you go from jobber that Serenity wouldn't give a second glance to somebody that can actually work his way around a duelist.
Friendship and happiness over here, and then like you said, Serenity was like, no, I'm good.
And Start GX, Foster, I've watched most of it, and we'll get to you later, friend. I haven't forgotten about you. So I actually watched a random episode of that, and you know what? That actually wasn't too bad, but I just couldn't get over, like, holy fucking shit, reincarnation does exist, and Tristan's the proof. So that was kind of a mind fuck. I've been listening to a lot of Double Toasted reviews. I actually, dude, I gotta tell you, this shit that I listened to today from them, they apparently came out with a movie, and by they, of course, I mean like Hollywood and shit, that apparently was like a zombie apocalypse musical. It's called Anna and the Apocalypse. And that was a really interesting review to listen to today. I listened to their review of their Lion King trailer reaction. They're not too enthused about it. They're like, okay, well, we've seen the show before. I mean, they're a bit excited about the cast because the cast is fucking stacked. So yeah, I've been listening to a lot of those guys lately because they're my favorite movie reviewers, at least when it's just the two of them, Corey and Mar. When they get other people, it's like too many cooks in the kitchen for me. Trying to think of anything else. And you know what? I think I'm going to table that here. I think I'm going to stick the pin here, and we can move on to our next question.
Oh, man. God, yeah. Next question from Ron Butter. Why is flat earth theory so popular when hollow earth theory is so much more interesting and harder to disprove?
You know what? You're the more scientifically inclined between the two of us. I want you to go first on this one because I don't
even know like the ins and outs of hollow earth theory, but it sounds fun.
I can do a cursory search real quick. Let me do that.
Hollow earth is a historical concept proposing the planet Earth is entirely hollow and contains a substantial interior space. Interesting. I think flat Earth theory, like as far as why it's so popular, I really can't answer that. I just don't know. Like I've never understood why something that preposterous and really just ridiculous to me has gained as much popularity as it has. And I really like I think it really kind of comes down to like a community thing. Like even if people in the flat earth community don't genuinely believe it, and I'm sure that most of them, or maybe even not most of them, maybe just a bunch of them do genuinely believe that the earth is flat. But I would also be willing to bet that a vast number of people in that community don't actually believe the earth is flat. And it's just this sense of community of like, we're cool because we have this opinion that sets us apart from everyone else. You know what I mean?
Right. You know, dude, it's fascinating for me, obviously coming from more philosophical circles, because I actually know somebody that works in like issues of like pseudoscience and like, you know, evidence
Really?
that's
I didn't know
yeah.
that you had one that did that.
Oh well, it's probably a sub branch of the larger philosophy of science, but yeah,
No, I'm not saying I didn't know that anyone did that. I'm saying I didn't know that you knew someone.
oh no, yeah, he's really a cool dude because he's very scientifically minded. We disagree about a lot of stuff, but always playfully. So he's a good dude. And he says that like people that give credence to pseudoscience and conspiracy theories, like it always interested him because you know human beings were always like creatures of testimony. Like that's our primary source of knowledge is testimony. And it just always amazes him that when there's so much contrary evidence out there of these positions, that people still gravitate to these positions, and flat earth definitely being like one of the big ones, that and you know obviously anti-vaxxers and stuff like that. Yeah, I had no idea hollow earth was even a thing, but I do
It's
agree with
actually
him.
really intriguing because I think I've seen something about the hollow earth theory like a long time ago, and I guess it must have just stuck with me because as soon as he said that, it clicked a little bit, but then I still had to look into it to get like more of the details. And yeah, that's like way more intriguing of an idea than flat earth because flat earth is the easiest thing to disprove other than like, oh, the grass is green, the sun is bright, that kind of shit. Like basics. Like if you genuinely want to know whether the earth is flat or not, like there, it's so funny because I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why, but I've randomly been getting videos in my recommended of YouTube of some guy with responding to a flat earther, and this flat earther has like this challenge where you're supposed to be able to draw or map out, I guess, a flight where you go straight in one direction and make a 90-degree turn and go the same distance and then make another 90-degree turn and make this and go the same distance and end up in the same spot that you started. And if the earth is a sphere, you can do that. And there are like the videos that are getting recommended to me are videos of people proving that you can do that and that it's a thing that happens. And then like apparently the guy that the flat earther that initially put out the challenge keeps moving the goalposts to try and avoid having to, because it's like there's like this thing where he's like, I'll give $100,000 to anybody that can do this, and then like they do it and he's just like, no, 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 but that's not what I asked. No, 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 that's not what I asked. No, 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 I mean this instead. Like he keeps moving the goalposts, but it's like it's so easy to prove that the earth is round, or at least vaguely round. Like even if it's not a perfect circle, which there's no such thing really as a perfect circle, but even if the earth isn't a perfect circle, it's very clearly round, and there's no reason for anyone to genuinely believe that it's anything but round. And yet there are people out there, man, that are just don't care about logic, don't care about anything. It really kind of, in a way, it's kind of its own religion because it doesn't matter what facts you present. They are going to continue believing what they want to believe, and they will find ways to twist around word definitions and logic to support what they're saying rather than contribute to be contrary to it.
Oh yeah, and I'm not really gonna add anything to that, but I do just want to make one more quick point. I hate those fucking people that are like, "Oh, I've got X amount of cash, and if anybody can do it, anytime anybody's gonna put that up, I hope people start saying pics of the cash or GTFO. Like, you know, I ain't gonna fucking waste time and not get paid.
Yeah, like the old fucking Reddit boobs or GTFO, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like
like
show like as far as the Reddit logic goes, or as far as the 4chan, I should say, logic goes, it was always like, if you want us to treat you special because you're a woman, prove that you're a woman. And then with this, it's like, well, if you want us to genuinely take you seriously, prove that you have this money that you're acting like you confront.
yeah, that shit pisses me off because then it's like, oh no, exposed. Time to shift the goalposts. I'll beat the fucking shit out of you. Get my goddamn money. Like, I don't know. It's just a very violent response from a man just
That felt very Stewie-esque, though. Give me my money.
Well, no, like, yeah, no. I proved this, motherfucker. Give me my $100,000. It's fucking Christmas. I got holiday shopping to do. Either you're gonna pay up, or I'm gonna show you a scientific fact that my crutch can be an enema, motherfucker. So pay up. So, next question.
Third and final question from Rotten Butter: who let the dogs out?
That was a horrible song, and I'm glad they're dead. I used to like that song, and I even bought their CD. It's a never-ending source of shame for me that I impose upon myself, so that I never make poor music choices again.
That's amazing.
That's my fucking answer to your question.
John owned a Baha Men album.
I did, and everybody makes mistakes. I am classifying this as one, and yeah, so fuck that question.
Oh, God. You know what that song was actually about, by the way?
Wasn't it like a like I think metaphor is the better word, but like for women and stuff like that, like weren't they saying
basically it was like they went to a club and all the women that were there were ugly, so they were asking who let the dogs out.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's move on. Next question set from Kyle Roberson. We got two. First up, God, these long form questions, man. Can you book a G1 with any wrestlers? Any 20 wrestlers, and he wants us to tell him, I should say, the A and B blocks, who would be in the finals and who would win it all. So I feel like why don't we do this? Why don't you pick an A block? I'll pick a B block. And we'll keep each other's picks in minds too. Because like if for example, if you pick Johnny Mundo and I pick Adam Cole, that means we can't get Johnny Mundo versus Adam Cole unless they're in the finals, right? So we should really kind of try and work together to make sure that each of our blocks sets up the best sort of dream matches, right?
Yeah, dude, I almost have to wonder if maybe we should have a new policy where you and I get to see these questions in advance and are able to come up with something, because these do take a lot of time to answer, but I guess divvying up blocks will make it easier.
Oh, that's kind of our way of cheating the system, is we divvy it up and we don't do everything each ourselves. So you do the A block, I'll do the B block, and then you tell me who you would have your winners be and who you would have win the whole thing, and I'll tell you who I would have my winners be and who I would have the whole thing. And in the meantime, I'm actually going to write down who we have in our blocks.
Yeah, I got a notepad out as well. Did you want to go first with your first pick?
The first overall draft pick to the B block, since I'm going to take B, you can have A. It's going to be Buddy Murphy.
Oh, okay. Buddy Murphy. Since you already said it, I mean, fuck, I might as well go with it. Johnny Mundo, obviously.
All right.
Johnny Mundo.
So now in the B block, I am going to select Mil Muertes.
Oh, I like that, Mil Muertes. For me with the A block, because I have to have this match for my final, potentially my A block final, I'm going to pick Ricochet.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Like your existence.
I know. I do want to make it clear that this is going to be intergender. If you would be willing to, bring a women into your block, and I was. I have someone in mind that I'm hoping you pick, but I won't say it out loud, and I also won't pick her because I want her in the A block with Mundo and Ricochet because, I'm not trying to have a bunch of hosses go up against a woman, especially because the woman in my mind is a more tiny type woman who, probably, people would have problems with realism. I just know it.
Right.
So the third draft pick for the B block is going to be Jeff Cobb.
I love it. All right, well, I'll just pick the woman that's on my mind that I'm hoping. It's one of two. I'm just gonna go Kyrie because I fucking love Kyrie. So get her in the A block.
That was definitely not who I had in mind, but that's.
And I think I know who it was. Damn. All right, who's your?
I kind of doubt you do because it's not EO either.
Oh shit! That I don't know.
No, yeah, I'll just tell you it's Sasha.
Oh, okay. Well. Who's your next pick for your B block? Or is it going to be Sasha? Do you just want her in your block then?
No, I really don't want Sasha versus a bunch of 260-pound guys. And I'm trying to go for a Haas, B block. So my fourth pick is Tomohiro Ishii.
Oh, man. You got the G1 match of the year machine. Ishii. My next pick is going to be Walter.
Oh, you son of a bitch. We're supposed to be working together.
Yeah, and you took Ishii from me, so suck on that tailpipe.
Ishii is a hoss. He's a never open weight guy. That's perfect for my block.
Yeah, but he's also adorable and everybody loves him. Did you not think I would have feelings about this?
Oh my god. Okay, fine. My 5th pick for the B block is Keith Lee.
All right, B block. I'm going to record Keith Lee. My 5th pick is going to be Pete Dunne.
Very nice. Hope that leads to you picking someone else for that block, because that would be fucking amazing. The 6th pick in the B block is going to be Cage.
Oh, son of a bitch. Cage. All right, my 6th pick is going to be Dante Fox.
Oh, that's beautiful. All right. 7th pick in the B block is going to be Samoa Joe.
I'm really not liking you right now. Samoa Joe.
You took Walter from me. I tell you what, let's do this. I will trade you Ishii for Walter.
Done. Yeah, you don't have to fucking ask me twice.
Ishii in on this somehow. I wanted him in the hosses, but Walter is more of a hoss than Ishii, so I will take Walter.
All right, you got it. That is a very easy trade to make. My next pick is going to be the new Daniel Bryan.
I'm still just gonna put Daniel Bryan, but yeah, I got you.
Yes.
All right. Was that your 7th? Yeah, that was your 7th. So you only have 3 left. I have 3 left as well. My 8th pick. Let's see. My 8th pick. This is actually getting a little bit more challenging now. Damn. 8th pick. Let's see. It's a hoss. It's a hoss fight when Buddy Murphy is the smallest guy in the group so far, right?
Yeah.
Damn. Let's see who else fits that mold. I'm really struggling to pick someone else. You know what? Oh, dude, we need more than we need more spots. God damn it. Let's see. I'm trying to think of not only Kevin Owens. That's a good pick.
Okay, Kevin Owens. My next pick is going to be Johnny Gargano.
God damn it! You keep not picking guys I want you to pick.
I'm sorry. I thought this was my A block, and so now
I thought we had themes though.
No, I'm just. I don't know.
By the way, did you want to replace Kyrie, or do you want her in your block for sure?
I do want her in my block. She's my captain, so absolutely.
Okay. Of course. I'm gonna go with Jordan Grace.
Ooh, I like that, dude. There you go. Next pick is gonna be Io Shirai.
Okay.
And who's your final pick gonna be? Because I think this is your final pick.
Yeah, this is my final pick. And for my final pick, I feel like I don't want to pick until I know who you pick so that I can make sure that someone's going to get in.
Do you want me to go first then?
Yeah, please do.
My final pick is going to be Minoru Suzuki.
That's who I wanted to make sure got in. Okay, good. Thank Christ. I was really hoping that we'd be able to get him in on this. All right. Okay, we're all good now. As long as Suzuki is allowed in, I'm happy. So my final pick is going to be Brody King.
Ooh, okay. Is that Brody IE or Y?
Is it Brody King or is it Brody Lee? I think it's Brody. Wait, no, Brody Lee. Hang on, I'm so confused. Brody Lee was Luke Harper. Who am I thinking of? Who's the big ass tatted up guy in PWG?
Oh God.
Brody something. It's Brody King, right? It's gotta be.
I know who you're talking about.
It is Brody King with a Y, not an IE.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just had like a weird moment there that I just didn't know what was going on. Yeah, Brody King is my last pick. All right. A block is Johnny Mundo, Ricochet, Kairi Sane, Tomohiro Ishii, Pete Dunne. You didn't get Siler, damn it!
Oh, yeah. His thighs would have been impressive. I
Dante
guess.
Fox, Daniel Bryan, Johnny Gargano, Io Shirai, and Minoru Suzuki. Do you want to replace anyone in there with anyone at all?
I feel like that's a lot of pressure. Yeah, you know what? We'll swap Kyrie for Tyler. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and the B block is Buddy Murphy, Mil Muertes, Jeff Cobb, Walter, Keith Lee, Cage, Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, Jordan Grace, and Brody King.
Okay, so now from here, I just have to pick an A block winner, right? I don't have to go and book the whole fucking tournament,
No,
right?
you pick your A block and your B block, and then your overall winner.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna pick for my overall A block winner. I'm gonna pick Suzuki.
Nice.
And then for B block, I'm going to pick.
It's a hell of a selection.
It really is. You know, for B block,
did you know that you were going to save Suzuki for last all along?
Yeah, because I my A block final would be Shirai versus Suzuki.
Damn.
And so then Suzuki, I think, would face. You know what? I'm just gonna go with the big fucking push. I'll do Suzuki versus Murphy, and Murphy wins.
Wow. Okay. For mine, I would go with Ishii and Cobb, and I would have Cobb. You know what? Fuck it. It's RG1. We're booking it. We're gonna have Ishii win one for once.
Hooray!
There you go, Kyle. We did our thing. It took a little while, but we got to it. And now we can move on. Second question from Kyle. If Kenny Omega drops the title to Tanahashi, does that give the rumors that Omega is going to WWE more weight?
I absolutely think they do. I've even been saying that to Ashton in conversation. I think that, honestly, guys, not to be a Debbie Downer, but the main event's all right. Like, I know it's going to be a solid match because Tanahashi is just a great in-ring worker, and Kenny, you know, I'm starting to come around to where Ashton's thinking where he's a tad overrated, but he's still very solid in there. But really, to me, the hook is if Kenny retains, we obviously know where his home is. If he loses, that raises a whole host of questions. So the rumors are really making the match for me personally. And I undoubtedly think that if Kenny drops the title, it gives a lot of credence to those rumors. But what about you, Ashton? Have you kind of changed your position since we've talked about it, or how do you?
No, not really. I'm pretty much the same way, man. I do think that if, really, even if Omega doesn't lose at Wrestle Kingdom, he could just as easily lose at New Year Dash or New Beginning, and it would still, I would still be. I'm pretty well convinced that Omega and the Young Bucks specifically are headed for SmackDown in 2019. And I think that they are going to be helping with the new look SmackDown that feels more sportsy for Fox and that kind of thing. I think that's going to be like the big move that WWE makes for 2019. So I'm hoping that I'm wrong, because I'm really hoping that, Omega kind of sticks to his word and never goes to WWE. But realistically, they have enough money to throw around that they could realistically pay Kenny more than they're paying AJ Styles, who is their current #1 merch seller. So yeah, it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal, the amount of money that they've got to throw around. So yeah, I do think Omega's going to go. That said, though, I think we can move on. Our next set of questions is from Super Blue. First up, how do you feel about the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct? And do you think that this will be the last Smash game?
I know nothing about that. And as far as the last Smash game, that's highly dubious to me.
Here's the thing, dude. Here's what I will say. I personally, unless and this is kind of where things get unpredictable, because is this the last Super Smash Bros. Game ever? Probably not. Is it planned to be, though? I would think so. I think that they are probably planning on this being the last Super Smash Bros. Game ever. And the only reason that it won't be is because I think that eventually technology is just going to catch up to it, and it's going to force a new platform. It's going to force, Nintendo or whoever owns the Smash Bros. Catalog at that point to create a new game on a new platform, is what it comes down to. But as far as just intentions go, I do think that this is intended to be the last Smash Bros. Game ever, because they can do DLC with this, which means that they never really need to make a new game ever again. They can just keep giving DLC and people will just keep paying for it because it's new characters and stuff like that. So I think it's probably intended to be the last Smash Bros. Game, but I doubt it actually will be, because eventually the platforms and new technology is going to just catch up to it.
You know what, Ashton? I'm really glad you took the reins on this first because again, I know fuck all about like the first part of the question or whatever. But as far as like the marketing, like is it the last game? I'm starting to notice a trend with certain fighting games because you notice with Bandai and Namco, like with Dragon Ball Fighter Z, that's going to be the last DBZ game for a while because they can just consistently update it, and that's kind of the plan. You know, just releasing DLC. I'm wondering if that's a new trend in the gaming industry. Like, okay, we're going to put out this finished product but we're only just going to keep like putting through updates. Like you notice there's never been something like a Rocket League 2 or whatever because there's just been no need. So if that's the future, honestly, I'm cool with it. I almost wish WWE would do something like that. Like just give us a really polished game with hopefully like an open season mode because I miss those. And if you want to like produce more roster members or whatever as they come in, just release DLC. I'd pay a little bit of extra cash and then getting an Andrade or a Tommaso or whatever if they didn't make the initial cut for whatever reason. So yeah, just knowing that information, I'll co-sign on with you. That's probably going to be the last game because they can just keep updating it perpetually until the technology kind of outpaces it. To your point, so I'll co-sign on to that.
Yeah, exactly. Second question from Super Blue. This is not a question; it's a demand. Cut a promo on the results of Crown Jewel and how it hurts the legacy of Hulk Hogan, Triple H, HBK, Kane, and The Undertaker. So to be fair, I don't really give a fuck about legacy. I don't really think that people doing stuff when they shouldn't be is really relevant. I just don't care about the whole legacy thing. But yeah, you know what, John? You're more the cut a promo type between the two of us. So I'll let you handle this one, brother.
It's kind of a bad day for a question like this, Ashton. You know what I've been dealing with lately physically. So if I'm a little low energy, I apologize to everybody. First of all, legacy, decent tag team. That's about it. My little joke there. And really, as far as everybody else, look, Hogan was fucking. You know, I'm over Hogan already. Really, the person I'm most disappointed in is Shawn. Like, I was really disappointed in Shawn Michaels taking that Saudi money because when he said he wasn't going to come back after WrestleMania 26 for years, he actually kept to his word. And even though he did really cringy fucking shit with those Christian movies and all that shit, like I respected him for living his life. And I'm like, you know what? He put in his time. If he wants to do his cringy little fucking plugs and just be embarrassing and that parent that you never want to bring to the parties because, oh, God, I don't want them to know that I'm their child. You know, that's his prerogative for everything he gave. But when you say yes, and see, now I feel like Shawn's put himself into a bind because, like, you stupid son of a bitch. You had a great match, one that I think is a tad overrated. I'll always prefer WrestleMania 25 to 26. You hung your hat on such a great match for everybody that loves and adores you and is like, you know, this man's such a phenomenal performer. And not only do you come back for a shit tag match where I saw the GIFs and Shawn looked okay, but you know, whatever. You do it on fucking Crown Jewel, which is the throwaway of throwaway fucking shows. I mean, I've been jokingly calling it WWE old fucks making big bucks.
Yep.
And, you know, I'm all for people making a payday, but I mean, come on, Shawn. I didn't buy that you were poor when you did that stupid fucking storyline with JBL, and I don't buy that you're poor now. Like, were you really in that much need? They cash some of that size. I mean, maybe he is.
I mean, dude, maybe it just comes down to like an effort versus reward kind of thing. Like maybe he realized that he had to put in so little effort in that match and he would get rewarded to such a significant degree that it was like a can't turn down. Like even if you have $10 billion, if somebody offers you $500 million, which I'm sure is not nearly, I'm sure Shawn didn't make that much with that match, but it's an overbloated example. If someone offers you $500 million to do nothing, like to maybe you're in mild pain for a week after being in, a 15-minute thing that's mildly exhausting, or a 25-minute thing that's mildly exhausting, like, yeah, that's still a significant sum and it's very little effort required. Like, yeah, that seems like doing.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, for me, and that's why I'm not really vocal about this kind of shit, because I know the problem is more with me and not with Shawn Michaels, and I try and be self-aware. I think for me, it's just more of a respect thing. Like, I really respected him for sticking to his word, when Ric Flair immediately jumped to TNA and was like in his fucking underwear in the six-sided ring, and Hogan on his usual bullshit. And Triple H I was used to. Triple H didn't really make any commitments or whatever. He always keeps that open schedule just to do those WrestleMania programs and whatever. Kane, again, same thing. But Shawn was a special case because Shawn was always so vocal. Like, oh, I don't want to be like those guys. And I had a great retirement and this and that. And you're a hypocrite. Now, obviously, my criticisms in the face of all that money doesn't really fucking matter. But it's really disheartening to me that a guy for, all of his hangups, I could have at least said, well, he takes pride in his art. He's a proud worker. He's both an artist and a businessman because, I want to believe that you can be both. And business wins out. And if the artist is in there, and I was going to mention this too, Sean's put himself in a bind. Like that match, I think for the most part got viciously mocked. If you want to give something for fans to kind of smile about again, I almost feel like you got to do the WrestleMania match with AJ Styles now. I mean, he's no longer WWE champion. You want to give AJ a match worth his time after the reign he just got done having? I mean, a special attraction match, Styles versus Michaels. I mean, to me, that still screams WrestleMania, personally. And I feel like Sean, if he cares at all about his craft and what he's done, he may have to go and do a match at least comparable to that, if not that exact match now, because you really want to go out on this fucking tag match? Really? Like, yeah. To me, I was most disgusted with him. But again, I know that's a John thing, not a Shawn Michaels thing. It's just really disappointing to me that a guy that really seemed to be sticking to his guns, and we could have gone back and been like, Shawn might have, been this, and this. But when he put his chips down and he walked away, he stayed away. And nobody can do that. And now we can't even say that because of fucking Saudi money. So, Sean, I'm really disappointed in you. Again, I know that doesn't matter when you're making all that bank, but your word is your bond and your word doesn't mean shit. So there you go.
Yeah. And like I said, I really just kind of don't care about the legacy stuff. Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
I don't even blame the individual performers involved in Crown Jewel. Although, to be fair, a couple of them, namely Cena and Bryan, did just straight up refuse to work it. And, that could have, that just means that was an option. Or maybe it really does kind of come down to like the amount of pull you have. Because WWE has shown in the past that they're horrified at the idea of losing Bryan to another company. So they won't fire him. And Cena is fucking Cena. So they're obviously not going to fire him. So I don't know if there's really anyone else that could have pulled the, I won't work here and not get fired other than Brock, who doesn't have the moral qualms about it, I would imagine.
But I have to mention that those four, not to kind of drag them over the coals, but I feel like those four would have fit in that category because when you have.
But I don't think they have the moral qualms about it. I don't think they give
right. No, I agree with you. They definitely didn't give a fuck because whatever the price tag was, I mean, Jesus Christ. And you called the fuck out of Shane getting his Saudi money because, I mean, Jesus.
Did I? What did I say about that?
Well, I think or maybe it was somebody else that said, but I thought you were the one that said something about how like Shane McMahon with like the World Cup, like he was going to get involved somehow or something because he's going to get that Saudi.
Oh no, yeah, okay, yeah, I got you.
Because I really thought you made a point about that. But yeah, no, I was really proud of Bryan and Cena, and see, like, I even got to say, on the opposite side, because I really dragged Michaels, I'm really proud of Bryan, because not only did he stick to his guns and not go, he's WWE fucking champ. Like, it was the perfect storm. He got to keep his principles, and around the same time that AJ wanted to spend more time with his family, he pushed for like, okay, we'll have Bryan beat me for the title. The guy gets to stick by his principles, not get any of the backlash of participating in that show that some people are still feeling, albeit it's died down considerably. And now he's WWE fucking champion. Like, I know he's heel, but when he's ready to be babyface again, I guarantee you people are going to remember this shit, and it's going to go over really well. It's going to age really well for him. So I'm actually really proud of him. Like, way to use your clout and come out ahead. Fucking hell, that was beautiful. All right, so next question.
Next question. How do you feel about the midterm election results, and did you guys vote? I can just tell you straight up, I didn't vote, but that's more just because I didn't really have anybody to vote for that I was really passionate about. I've been saying for a while now, like, if you don't inspire me to vote, I'm not going to fucking vote. So, if Bernie would have been the Democratic nominee 2 years ago, I 100% would have voted, but I didn't like Hillary. I didn't like Trump. I wasn't going to vote. So I didn't vote this time either. Nobody inspired me. So, John, I know you did vote, though.
Yeah, because this was about midterms. Question was, right? Yeah, I went with the family to vote. Yeah, I actually did it, which to me, like, I'm such a fucking curmudgeon about, mainstream politics and stuff like that. But, I knew how important this election was, like, with the issues and a lot of my friends and stuff like that. So there was a lot to consider. I cast my vote. I'll tell you what, though, on the New Hampshire side of things, the person I voted for got freaking whooped. So I felt like a vote wasted anyway. But I actually prefer to vote on the voting questions, like do you vote for this amendment or do you vote for that amendment? I actually find that to be just as important, if not more important, than voting for an actual representative. So it was cool to vote on those. I don't know if I'll do it for the presidential election. I'm a lot like Ashton. Like, now that I know that we have a voting station like so close and I am registered, if there is somebody like a Bernie or whatever, you know, I'll swallow the pill again. I'll go out and vote. But if it's just two people again that, like, you know, very hard,
yeah, it's like you have to pick the lesser of two evils.
And I fucking hate that shit. And you know how I am with ultimatums. Like, and maybe that's where my voting stubbornness comes from. It's like, well, you got to pick the lesser of two evils. First of all, I don't want to do shit. So yeah, but I did vote this time, and it was a pleasurable experience. I'm not going to go too into it because I actually embarrassed myself. You know, it was a long time since I had voted, and I apparently needed a re-education, but it was harmless. It was harmless. So next question.
Next question from Super Blue. How do you feel about the new Lion King movie trailer? I'm so excited about it. John, I know you probably have a take, though. I'm sure curious.
No. Brother, my take is succinct. I'm just curious how they're going to animate Mufasa's death for this one. I'm so excited for it. You know, it's just it's something that ages
so much right now.
Well, first of all, you know you don't mean it. Let's wind.
You don't know what I mean. You don't know what I don't mean.
You know you love me. Let's mind our language a little bit here. Okay, feelings are at stake. But more importantly, I think it's a death scene that's aged super well. And I hope in the animated version that they go with like my idea, where he just kind of nudges him with the paw, Papa, but he's already dead, so like it doesn't matter. I think the animation could be gorgeous, just seeing him flail his arms around before he falls in the stampede. So I mean, technology's come such a long way. I think it's going to be a great moment for all of us. I'm really excited.
Mets with the $1.99 super chat. I think I know who the mole in chaos is.
Ooh. Curious to know who you think that is. But yeah, that's wow, I didn't know you could retract super chats, but there you go.
That's actually hilarious.
Take my money, not my message. But yeah, I actually I vaguely remember the trailer because I did watch it. It took me a little while after you initially commented on it. I mean, it looks gorgeous. The cast looks stellar. I'm curious to see if they'll take any liberties with the source material because again, Double Toasted, they seem to think that they were just going to do like a shot-by-shot remake and stick very close to the material. I would like if they maybe took some liberties just to kind of set itself apart. I know they did that with Beauty and the Beast with kind of mixed results. Maybe they'll make Scar more sympathetic in this one. You know, who knows? But
I don't know, dude. I love the cast though. I know that because they got three comedians again to play the hyenas. They got Eric Andre to play Ed, which is perfect. They got Keegan Michael Key to play Bonsai, and they got Florence Kasumba to play Shenzi. So great casting there. I don't know if you knew this, dude, but they got Alfre Woodard to play Sarabi.
No, I did not.
Sarabi, that's Simba's mother.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I don't. Yeah, no, it is. It is Simba's mother. Yeah. Alfre Woodard though is Mariah Dillard.
Oh shit.
So she's gonna be the one voicing Simba's mother. They got John Oliver to play Zazu, which is great.
Yeah, that's perfect casting. Perfect casting.
Do you know who John Connie is?
No.
Okay, that's the guy that played King T'Chaka.
Okay.
T'Challa's father that died in Civil War.
Damn. Yeah, that is one thing.
They got him to play Rafiki though, so he's gonna be playing.
Oh wow.
They retained James Earl Jones as Mufasa. Oh God.
That's perfect. Yeah, that role is just so iconic. You don't want to tamper with that. I can understand.
They got Shwetal Ejiofor. I hope I'm saying that name right. But the guy that plays the guy that ends up being the villain by the end of Doctor Strange, that talks about how like, you know,
Mordo.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the guy that plays Mordo. They got him to play Scar. Seth Rogen is Pumbaa.
Again, perfect casting.
Donald Glover is Simba.
Perfect casting.
Beyonce is Nala.
Yeah, people have been like, here's the thing with Beyonce. I'm indifferent. I don't hate. I don't love. It is what it is. I'm sure for the song numbers, it'll be great. I will give the movie this credit though, and this is something Double Toasted noted. Because the original Disney film, like you can definitely see like its African roots and stuff like that. And I'm glad that they went with like the strong black casting because they've mentioned how like you get certain Disney characters and their speaking voice is different from their singing voice and stuff like that. And I don't know. This casting I think is very strong, very solid. And again, my only hope.
I just can't wait to hear Donald Glover's rendition of "I Just Can't Wait to Be King." That's gonna be
That's gonna be great. And you said Scar was Mordo, right, from Doctor Strange?
Yeah, dude. Yes.
Yeah. Be prepared. That's gonna be interesting.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, Mufasa's death scene. Be prepared. All that stuff will be great. And again, one thing I have to emphasize: really looking forward to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Timon is played by Billy Eichner.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, I think it'll be great. I'm just curious if they'll do like any unique takes or if they're just going to be very strict to the script. Which if they are, it'll be a fun time for people that love the original film. Like I liked it. I wouldn't say that I was crazy over the moon about it. Like it's a good enough film for me. I'm a far bigger fan of Aladdin. The teaser they put out for that live action film looked fucking amazing. I got goosebumps watching it. This should just be a good time. But if they take their own kind of liberties with it, I don't know. And if they're good at that, I might end up really liking this. So I'm excited. It should be good.
Absolutely. So fifth and final question from Super Blue. What would you change in Death Note? And how glad were you to see Light die the way he did?
I'm so glad we can both answer this question because who finished Death Note? That guy over there, my coworker.
I think didn't I talk about that during our last Q&A though?
I don't think you finished it by then, did you?
I'm pretty sure I talked about that during our last Q&A.
I don't remember.
Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, I would basically just have the entire story end with L's death. That would be the last thing that we see. And then we would just kind of know that Light won that game and we would just stop it after that.
Yeah. I would either do that because, I mean, believe me, I've seen animes have sad endings and really fucked up endings. You guys never heard of an anime called School Days? YouTube that ending, and you'll see what a fucked up anime ending looks like. And if you wanted to go out on a more positive note, just keep the confrontation going until like episode 36 or 30. I think it was 39 episodes in Death Note, right? So yeah, and then L wins the case. Like I really didn't care for Nier. I think L and Light had an amazing dynamic.
Yep.
And yeah, so you either have L win or Light win. That's really the biggest change I would make because that dynamic to me was the show. That first half, that first bit is one of the most well-written pieces of anime I've ever watched. And
yeah, I mean, it was basically Game of Thrones with magic, with more magic. Because Game of Thrones already has like blood magic, but like with more magic.
Yeah. So
well, I guess you could say that maybe the Death Note was based on blood magic. So it really was just kind of a Game of Thrones set in the modern era.
Yeah, and Matt's correcting me. Death Note had 37 episodes. See, I was just a little bit off. But yeah, that's really the only change I would make. And was there a second part to that question? Or was that just like what you would change?
Were you glad to see? How glad were you to see Light die the way he did?
Oh, I was disappointed, and it's not even a scumbag thing. It's just again like a protagonist like Nier just seems so weak, and I hated how Nier won because it just seemed like he won because Mikami was a fucking moron. So like it's one thing, and here's the thing too. And again, I'm just gonna be that little Light fanboy bitch. I would have been far more comfortable with him dying if they would have shown him become a Shinigami at the end, because Ryuki even remarked how amazing like Light would be as a Shinigami with how intelligent and ruthless he is. So I think that would have been a nice little like, oh, here, Light fan.
That would have been a really fitting twist, yeah. But then like
at
the same time though, like Light got so inside his own head and so arrogant and so up his own ass that he did have to die at that point. Like that's why I wanted the series to just end when L died, because that was after Light clearly won the game, but before he went so far up his own ass that he could have licked his own colon.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's all I've got to say about that. Let's move on to our next question.
Next set of questions is from Mark Schoeneman. First up, how do you feel about Johnny Mundo being screwed off of Survivor? Do you know this whole story, John?
You explained it to me, and of course they're going to screw over Johnny Mundo because he's fucking God and nobody can handle it. So, yeah, just way to go, Marks. Way to ruin it for everybody else.
Yeah.
Fuck those guys. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I mean, I don't know, man. They played the game, right?
Absolutely, they did. Absolutely. So, next question.
Next one from Mark is also for both of us. And, he has like this big fantasy booking thing in the Discord. So let me pull that up. In just a second, you can talk while I'm finding it.
Yeah, I noticed Alex Foster actually got my School Days reference. I just want to say, Foster, I never saw the full anime, just the ending. Holy fuck. I was definitely like, yeah, I'm very careful how I navigate relationships after watching that. Iconic player one, I love the metaphor to life's death, halfway into staircase signaling. He is neither heaven nor hell. Iconic, I never noticed that. That's such a great catch, dude. I never thought about that. I've watched the anime like 3 times. So way to bring something new to the table, bro. That's great.
Oh, by the way, way to break out the banhammer, bud.
Oh yeah, fuck that guy. So did you
All right, yeah, I found it. So, Mark, question number 2. What do you think the likelihood of this booking for both women's championships through Mania is? And then he said, I don't want this to happen, but this is what I came up with. Both Ronda and Becky lose their titles to Nia and Charlotte at TLC, respectively. First of all, check that off because I definitely do think that that's a possibility. At the Rumble, Becky and Ronda are the final 2. One of 2 things happens. Either one, they find a way for both women to fall out and hit the floor at the same time and are considered co-winners instead of a restart. Either they're both allowed to pick a champion to face, or maybe at the next pay-per-view they have a match to determine which one of them gets their first choice of either Charlotte or Nia, and the loser gets the other one. Regardless, Ronda picks Charlotte, Becky picks Nia. Or option 2, it looks like Becky is about to win the Rumble, but Nia attacks her. Ronda then gets up and eliminates Becky because WWE wouldn't want Nia to throw Becky out. They'd want Ronda to do it. Maybe more sympathy. Becky was the number 1 in the Royal Rumble, so it's even worse for her. Nia then continues to assault Becky, maybe punches her in the face again, puts Becky out of action and off TV. Ronda chooses Charlotte as the champion that she wants to face. Then at Elimination Chamber, Nia retains her title after last eliminating Bayley or Sasha or Ember, some other babyface. Between now, as in November, and Chamber, Nia runs roughshod through the Raw Women's division, and especially through those 3 women, Bayley, Sasha, and Ember. After the match is over, though, Becky's music hits, and she slowly walks to the ring. Nia wants out of there, but Sasha, Bayley, and Ember, who are still lurking around after being eliminated, help keep her in the chamber before Becky enters. Those 3 leave, and Becky destroys Nia inside the chamber, ended by putting her through one of the glass panes. And then he added at the end here that regardless, the end result ends up being Becky, Nia, and Charlotte Ronda at Mania, which again isn't my desired outcome of this, but it is what he is predicting to happen, and he wants to know what we think of that.
I mean, knowing WWE, yeah, I could see them giving Nia a major push and maybe like making that a bigger.
If I had to choose between those 2 scenarios, I would prefer the second one because that involves Bayley, Sasha, and Ember. It makes Becky look more like a badass, and taking her off TV for a little bit of time could also help kind of really build up that kind of groundswell of support.
Yeah, absolutely. I too prefer the second scenario. I will agree with you there. I don't know what WWE is going to do. TLC preview predictions is already going to be very interesting for the women's matches as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, Mark, I like the way you think. I know you didn't want this to happen. I'm just talking more like about trying to read WWE. I can definitely appreciate where you're coming from. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens, man.
Yeah, man. All right. Yeah. Next up, though, third question is just for me. Assuming you're still playing Golden Sun, how far are you from fighting your parents on top of a lighthouse? Not even halfway, Mark. Not even halfway. I haven't even conquered the Venus lighthouse in the first game yet, much less the Mars and Jupiter lighthouses in the second game. So I kind of took a break from Golden Sun. I've been more of a Pokemon kick lately. So
now wait, Ashton, Golden Sun, that's the game where I just chose for the world to end, right?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
See, now you can't fight your parents on a lighthouse if there's no world with which the lighthouse can stand on. So I'm ahead of the game personally.
There you go.
I'll put that out there.
Mark's fourth question is also just for me. And he wants to know if The Voice Season 21 should be a champions season featuring all 20 winners with monetary winnings going to charity. I mean, that'd be cool. I know when America's Best Dance Crew was a thing, I always wanted them to do sort of a second chance season where they brought back fan favorite crews that didn't win their respective seasons. I think that would be kind of an interesting concept for maybe the 20th season of The Voice. And then 21 can be, the winners of the 20 seasons. And then it turns out, season 20 was really just a last chance for people to get into the champion season of season 21. That could be fun. But should it be? Probably. Will it be? I doubt it. Next question is for you, John. Fifth and final question from Mark. Have you come up with a plan to take down the MMA meanies? Because I think I got something that'll work. We just need 68 toothpicks, 2 cars, 4 strands of rope, and several sharks. You in?
That sounds absolutely insane and utterly ridiculous. Let's do it.
It reminds me when he said that in Discord, I was like, that reminds me of like a Keenan and Kel intro.
Yeah.
Oh, here it goes.
You did the thing. No, Mark, I haven't come up with a plan, and you're far smarter than I. So whatever you're contriving, let's fucking do it. So yeah, I'm down, brother. Let's do this. Let's take down the MMA meanies.
All right, first question of 5 from Iconic Player 1. Who do you see winning 2018 Game of the Year? You know, I gotta say, to me, it's got to come down to one of 2 games. It's either going to be God of War or Red Dead Redemption 2, and just based on recency bias, it's probably going to be RDD2.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say Red Dead Redemption 2. When it's kind of transcended popular culture with South Park, like making so many jokes about it. Yeah, I never saw popular culture like make any references to God of War. Granted, I might have missed them, but I just think even that slight edge, just looking at that, Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm just gonna go with that.
All right. Next up. Sorry, I lost my place. John, what are your thoughts on Ted Kaczynski's Industrial Society and its future? Tell me if I mispronounced that.
Oh, I've never heard of that. Let me look it up. You said Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, it's a hell of a spelling, dude.
Oh yeah, no, it's a. Oh wait,
it's a very very Polish name.
Okay. Well, apparently he was a bomber, a domestic terrorist, and he was an anarcho primitivist. Now wait. I want some clarification on something. We'll kind of do a little dialogue here. Iconic, are you the one in the Discord that you're more of like a rugged kind of naturalist? Like you love the outdoors and you love hunting and stuff. And I even mentioned Rousseau to you. Were you that guy? I feel like you were. And Ted Kaczynski, you said his manifesto.
He was the Unabomber, apparently.
Yeah, and his manifesto, Industrial Society and its Future.
And I'm just going to assume it's actually Kaczynski, because that CZY letter combination usually translates to a ch sound. So I'm going to say Ted Kaczynski.
Right. Yeah, I've never read the manifesto. Now, I don't want to straw man anarcho-primitivism, but I've always found it. Oh yeah, you are Iconic. Okay, yeah. I just want to keep my ducks in a row here. So it's actually kind of fitting that you'd ask me this, given that we've talked about like industry versus nature, and that whole thing. Oh my God, it's 34 pages. Well, clearly I don't have the time to read this. I've never read it. I find anarcho-primitivism to be a bit radical. I mean, just kind of like Rousseau. He says man is in his most perfect state, in a state of nature. He said that the downfall of society came when somebody drew a circle around a patch of dirt and said, "This is mine," which is essentially saying the institution of private property. Obviously, I share some affinities, I guess, with the ideology, even though I'm not that well versed with it. I'm just assuming I do. But I do think society does have, obviously, beneficial functions. I'm not looking to do away with it. I'd be more curious what you think about it, honestly, while I educate myself, given that you've kind of been grappling with industrialization versus nature, that whole conflict. I really have nothing to say, but I guess if you'd want to talk about it more on the Discord, you and I.
Yeah, I was going to say, this seems like the kind of conversation that you guys should have behind closed doors.
Oh, absolutely. Because I could see myself like reading this manifesto and kind of reading up on anarcho-primitivism, because Iconic even said it speaks to him, which honestly doesn't surprise me, only because I know, like, again, how much of an outdoors person and kind of self-sufficiency and stuff like that. So I'd love to read it privately, and a lot like Brandon, just giving you like an answer and kind of a dialogue outside of this forum. So let's table that for now. Next question.
Third question from Iconic Player 1. Build the road to WrestleMania for babyface Elias.
Ooh, again, another long-form booking question.
Well, to be fair, we really only have to worry about like 5 pay-per-views. So it's TLC, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, Fastlane, and then WrestleMania.
Well, actually, let's kind of work together on this, you and I. Would you agree with me that maybe Elias should face like Baron at Mania? Because I know they're not going to give him that big of a match. But
I don't know about Mania, but I do think he should have a match against Baron or involving Baron on the opposing side between now and Mania for sure. Yeah.
Because you already know what my fantasy booking would be just for even TLC, which is yet to come. It would be Baron, McIntyre, and Lashley versus Elias, Balor, and Wyatt.
Right. And that would make a lot of sense if Bray Wyatt had ever done anything to get involved in this whole thing.
Right. I just feel like you could still get involved, although I'm kind of losing hope on that. Maybe Braun will be back, but I highly doubt that too. But keeping the focus on Elias, I don't know. Because, like, part of me wants his WrestleMania match to be something to do with Baron Corbin's kind of authority faction, but the other side of me thinks, well, why not have him finally nab a mid-card title at Mania? Do you know any which way you're leaning with Elias as far as Mania goes?
I was gonna try and book him into the IC title. Yeah. So
yeah. Okay. Maybe he eliminates the Intercontinental Champion at the Royal Rumble, and that kind of leads to some tension. Maybe they have one match at Fastlane, but the champion cheats to retain. And then maybe Elias wins a Fatal 4-Way at Raw, to get another shot at Mania. And then he wins it at Mania, and he has a post-championship celebration concert.
Or here's another opportunity that we might be missing out on that still hasn't happened somehow, that I'm actually genuinely disappointed hasn't happened. Throw away the idea of a match. Let's do an Elias concert with The Rock at WrestleMania.
Yeah, he's been asking for it. I'd be cool with that.
Yeah. And especially babyface Elias, and he's not gonna get insulted by The Rock. Yeah, that sounds amazing. But at the end of the day, I think if we're going strictly for a match at WrestleMania, I would say sort of ideal scenario is Dean beats Seth for the IC title, and then we get Dean versus Elias at Mania, and Elias wins the title off of Dean.
Yeah, I agree with either of those scenarios. I do think that's the best thing for Elias, because I want something.
And really, I mean, since the rumor is that we're going to be getting Seth versus Brock at Mania, that actually is realistic. Like, Dean could beat Seth as early as TLC, and then Dean holds that title until Mania, and maybe his second or third match with Elias could happen at Mania, like you were saying, and Elias picks up the win there. Yeah, that works really well, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
Do we really need to go further than that?
No, not at all.
All right. Here's an interesting one. The fourth question from Iconic Player 1. Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Hulu. Drop one, push one, repackage one.
Repackage Netflix.
How?
Oh, geez. Well, first I'd bring back their rating system. I think it was a horrible idea to get rid of that. They're already focusing a lot on original content. How else could you repackage Netflix?
I'm just going to come right out and say I would drop Hulu, and that would be beneficial in multiple ways because, first of all, without Hulu, Raw and SmackDown would be able to go up on the WWE network the day of or the day after, because Hulu is the only thing preventing that from happening, because WWE has a deal with Hulu in place that it gives Hulu first chance streaming rights at both Raw and SmackDown. So immediately that's the easiest drop, because then that helps WWE as far as being able to put their own product on their own streaming service as quickly as possible.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even know about that with Hulu and the deal they had with WWE. So I guess I'll go with you about dropping Hulu. I definitely.
And you know what? You tell you what. I actually have my answer ready to go, so it gives you more time to think about what you want to do with Netflix, since you said you want to repackage it. I'm going to push Netflix because I like Netflix, and I have Netflix now, and I just want Netflix to get more content and be good. And especially because the better Netflix is, because Netflix is the biggest streaming service right now, but the better Netflix is, the bigger Netflix is, the more legitimate the competition for Disney Plus is going to be. And Disney Plus is going to be one of those services where if it doesn't have legit competition, it's going to run rampant and it's going to be bad for everyone. So we need Netflix to be as strong as possible so that there is just some competition for Disney Plus. And then I guess I'm going to repackage Amazon Prime. And I mean, I don't know, make it cheaper. Fuck it.
Yeah, I think for Netflix, I guess my repackaging would be like bring back user feedback, focus more on original content. Because I feel like they axe some shows that were really subject to people, but they keep affording like high-priced movies and this and that. And yeah, I'd push Prime. I think Prime's been trying to compete forever, so like, you know, kicking its little leg. So I would kind of give them a push because I actually had a really successful show recently, The Marvelous Miss Maisel. So I think it'd be a, you know, no.
Speaking of Amazon Prime, isn't The Runaways on Amazon Prime?
I think it might be.
It's either on Amazon Prime or Hulu. It's one of the two.
Right.
But yeah, either way, like, I mean, if we repackage Amazon Prime to make it cheaper, it makes it more accessible. If it's on Hulu and we drop Hulu, then that means that it becomes available for Disney Plus. So it's like a win-win there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's another thing we need to do with Amazon Prime too, is we can't drop Amazon Prime because Lucha Underground is available on Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely push Amazon
Prime. For pointing that out. So yeah.
Yeah.
Next, fifth and final question, actually, from Iconic Player One: what's better, hunting or fishing?
Never hunted. I did fish a couple times, and I'll tell you, if it was something I could get back into, I probably would. It's a very tranquil activity. I enjoy it. Yeah. I'm gonna say fishing.
Basically, like, you know, either way, you're using your intelligence to outsmart a less intelligent animal and kill it. So it's not like there's really a pro or a con there. But with hunting, like, God, everything about hunting is almost designed to be uncomfortable. Like, you're up in a fucking tree, wearing multiple layers of clothing, out exposed to the cold, and it's specifically in cold months, so it's kind of miserable in that sense. Fishing is like designed to be relaxed. Like, yeah, fishing is clearly the activity that I would be more prone to enjoying. So I'll say fishing is better.
All right, there you go. Next question.
We've got 3 from Golden Elite, and man, Golden Elite knows how to ask long questions. So I'm going to ask the version that I have written down here, and if I feel like there's anything that needs to be added, I will add it from his original question, because I kind of had to, like, he asks questions that are like 3 to 4 lines a piece, and I always try and condense questions down to 1 line. So, first question: would you have liked to see a WWE version of the Main Event Mafia featuring Triple H, The Undertaker, Chris Jericho, The Big Show, and Kane? And the reason that he asked this is because he's a big fan. He was a big fan of the Main Event Mafia in TNA, and it was very successful in TNA, but it also failed to do what it was meant to do, which was to create young stars. So then he gave reasons for each guy, talking about Triple H used to wear a suit with the Authority and Evolution. Undertaker is a guy that we've never really seen in a suit, but it would be cool, and it would kind of fill the Sting role of the group. Chris Jericho would be a perfect fit with his 2008 gimmick, replacing Booker T as the entertaining upper card type. Big Show would replace Nash as the monster of the group, and Kane already did the suit thing in the Authority, and he would replace Scott Steiner in a monster tag team with Big Show. So he kind of gave each guy a specific role that kind of replaced their original Main Event Mafia guy that was kind of corresponding to it. So I think his question is basically just, would you like this if it happened?
I could probably dig it for a little bit. Yeah, I don't think I'd be too bored by that or dread that too much. What about you?
No, because it's WWE and they would find a way to fuck it up even worse than TNA did.
Yeah, that is a fair point.
It would hold all the titles and everyone would lose every week and nobody would ever get a rub from it, and then it would just randomly disband for no reason with no real progress having been made. That's just WWE style.
Ooh, that's
it to put over young guys that just kind of suck, like fucking, Roman or shit, like Lars, like.
Yeah. Ooh, shit. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. Second question from Golden Elite, though. It's kind of a 2-parter, but I let him get away with it because it's not that big of a deal. How tall is Wade Barrett really? Also, what do you think his gear and name will be in Lucha Underground? So let's start with the height. How tall do you think Wade Barrett really is?
I'm gonna say what, like 5'10", maybe. I don't even know if he's in the 6 foot range. Is he?
Dude, yeah, he's listed at 6'7".
Damn. Then I'll say he's like 6'4". I don't think he's 6'7" though. But maybe 6'4" is more likely.
So let me just go over some listed heights. So Barrett listed at 6'7". Sheamus listed at 6'4". Jack Swagger listed at 6'7". So I would say Barrett's probably 6'5", because Swagger was also listed at 6'7", and he's 6'5". And weirdly enough, Sheamus is only listed at 6'4". I'm pretty sure he's around 6'5" too, but I'm going to just guess 6'5" for Barrett.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll just go with you on that. I honestly have no conception of height, really. So 6'5" sounds good to me.
All right. So third and final question from the Golden Elite. I'm gonna read this question in full because that he had like a very specific idea, and I'm very curious about it. Um, Given that the Order is looking for a new host to wear the gauntlet, who do you think it's going to be? And I thought this was interesting because Golden Elite said that I personally believe it'll be Ryback, and that his gimmick will be that he's Cage's brother, which would reveal that Cage was an actual machine this whole fucking time. It wasn't just a catchphrase. And the Order have created their own version of Cage in Ryback. I love that idea.
I love it too, actually. Shit. Getting outside of conjecture though, and just focusing on who's on the roster. Maybe Marty will get the gauntlet. I mean, he's lost the world title, and I doubt he's going to get it back, but I think they're going to want to maintain Marty the Moth's momentum in other ways.
Dude, that's perfect because Marty has such a fascination with objects that other people have. Like,
and that's what I was going to say too, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, like if he sees how much of a desire Johnny Mundo had to keep and maintain that gauntlet, it's going to send him into overdrive wanting to get that thing for himself. So yeah, that's a perfect answer. Like if they don't bring in a new guy to give the gauntlet to, Marty is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, he's going to be my pick for sure because everything.
And especially because he's the type where no matter what anyone says, like, no, you can't. I feel like the more people tell him that he can't do something, the more he wants to do it because he's that childish-like character.
Right. Yeah. So like, and I was going to list all that stuff as well. And really that came from you in the first place. So really you inspired all this. So yeah, I'm going to lock down Marty. I think he's a perfect choice.
That's a great choice, dude. I love that. All right. So then we've got 5 questions from Abel. First up, what are your opinions on Malcolm X and why do you believe there isn't a national holiday for him like there is for MLK Jr.?
I guess I should really answer this, right? I mean, no offense, but I'm probably more of an authority here.
Oh, no, yeah. I really know very, very little about Malcolm X. And you told me the other day that apparently MLK Jr. was a little more on the, I guess, violent side than people realize.
Not necessarily on the violent side, because I think he still believed in nonviolent protest, but I think he had more radical ends to his form of nonviolence than people give him credit for. It wasn't just about unifying the races. Like, what's one thing that, state interest always wants to protect, at least in my mind? Capitalism. MLK was anti-capitalist, and they never talk about that in schools and stuff. Huh. They have a very watered-down version of MLK. But he was still a nonviolent guy, Ashton, so he'd be right up your alley.
But isn't there like a more watered-down version of Malcolm X, too? Like, he killed a guy.
Well, I don't know if Malcolm ever killed anybody. I never read that in anything.
But I thought you told me that he punched a guy in the face and then later it turned out.
No, dude. See, you misunderstood. There was a story that a racist was like laughing at some guy and heckling him, and they tried to punch him, and the guy punched him back. And
Malcolm basically just like endorsed it. Like, yeah, that's what you.
Well, yeah, it was a contemporary thing. I think what you're thinking of was my Facebook post because it was a thing that happened very recently.
No, you told me this when we were playing a game of Rocket League.
No, well, you must have misheard me or something because what it was a very contemporary thing, and I said I'm laughing about it, and I quoted Malcolm X, and the quote was, if I can find it, I'm looking at it right now: "Be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, respect everyone. But if someone puts his hands on you, send him to the cemetery."
Oh, that's right. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's probably why he doesn't have his own holiday because Malcolm did advocate revolutionary violence. Like he wasn't looking for violence sake. But he's saying, look, if people are burning crosses on your lawn, if your family's getting threatened to be lynched or raped or whatever, it's kind of like what I taught you about Ashton with the whole Stokely Carmichael vote. Look, if just some nobody wants to lynch me, that's his problem. If somebody has the power to lynch me, that's my problem. And Malcolm was pretty much the same way. Look, if people have the power to terrorize you, to rape you, to lynch you, fucking fight back. And like that's why he doesn't get his own holiday, I think, because everybody always knows MLK for his pacifism. And I think the U.S. is very tentative to endorse somebody that advocated revolutionary violence. That's just a very straightforward answer I'm giving you, Abel, because I think it all comes down to the tactics. But even though MLK and Malcolm had a lot more in common than people, educate us to believe, because even though MLK, again, was more nonviolent, he had the same radical ends that Malcolm did, the abolition of capitalism, the end of racism, all that stuff. Hell, Malcolm even said he would go to places like Birmingham, and he said, my intention is to help Dr. King, if they see his way and they follow his way, because, I'm obviously an alternative. if I make them terrified of the alternative, that may make them more likely to follow Dr. King. So there was even a respect between the two. I just think there's a lot that history misappropriates and kind of misrepresents, and it's really a shame. I still think the Denzel Washington film Malcolm X, directed by Spike Lee, is a masterpiece. Like, it's an excellent biopic. And yeah, he's a great thinker. I've always, as a disabled man, even though he was race and I'm disability, I think it just speaks a lot to any kind of struggle. And I would love one day for him to be recognized, but I'd like him to be recognized in a nation that he would be proud of, and, not something like this. So hope that answers your question, Abel. Next question.
Second question from Abel. What is the most amazing thing about the universe?
I would say it's vastness. Now, see,
that was going to be my exact answer, dude. Yes.
Yeah, definitely the vastness of it. Like, it's incomprehensibly vast to the human intellect.
Yeah. Yeah, like even if you just want to think about our solar system, like we think about where we live, and maybe like the room that we're in, and then the house that room exists in, and then like the county that our house is in, and then, oh, by the way, that county is inside of a greater kind of township, and then that is within a greater city, which is within a greater state, which is in the United States, which is on this continent, which is on this planet, and oh, by the way, this planet is like a little tiny little teensy weensy little fraction of the size of the sun, and that's just for the solar system, which again, like, it's like quite a lot bigger than just from the sun to the earth too, so that's small too. And then you go even further than that, and it's like we're just this tiny little thing within our galaxy. And then you got the cluster, and then go further out, and you've got the actual unit. Like, it's ridiculous how massive everything is. And if you can look out there and not feel tiny, there might be something wrong with you.
Beautifully said, my friend. Next question.
Third question from Abel. I love this. Does an ideal government exist?
And this is going to be my honest answer, putting my ideology aside and everything else. No. I actually think the joke that Cleveland made about the game of, I want to call it the game of life, actually fits with politics. You don't win, you just do a little better each time. And like, I feel like, yeah, we'll never get to an ideal government, but I think with each successive generation, maybe this is overly optimistic of me, you get to better forms of government. At the very least, I'd say it's more cyclical, where you have horrible forms of government, but then you bounce back completely on the other side, and you get to a much better form of government relative to these social causes that are kind of percolating at that time. But I don't think an ideal government exists. No.
I think, you know what? I think just from like a semantic point of view, I don't know if there is such thing as an ideal government, because even if there was a state where the government was in such a perfect place where even the tiniest change to a law or the wording of a law would make things worse for more people than it would make things better for, I still think that there's probably some conceivable government out there that would be better, that would just have such different rules and such different things that it would be such a different change that you wouldn't even realize to think about. You know what I mean? Like, it's an inconceivable thing.
Well, I mean, dude, here's the thing. And I don't know if this is another point where you and I differ, but I think an ideal government is also impossible because, like, it's not just isolated to the one society in which that government's situated. Like, I think we're in an era where everything kind of operates globally, like things that go on in Europe kind of trickle down here.
Yeah.
So I think for something to be ideal, you would have to control far more than that immediate territory. You would pretty much have to control the globe, and that's just nonsense. Like, because the world's so much bigger now. And I know we talk about old conquerors like Napoleon and Alexander the Great, but I think on a very real level, the material conditions that those rulers operated in, it would blow their minds what we've done today, like technologically and everything else. Like, the world is a radically different place than it was back in those centuries. So I think with, the more we feed into the concept of modernity and advancement and technology and all this stuff, I actually feel like in almost a paradox, I feel like the more we feed into that, the less likely the ideal government is, because there's more variables to control. But I also think the more likely just a better government is in general. It's kind of a weird way how that all works, but that's really kind of where I come away with it. So
yeah, and I'm sure there are plenty of people too who believe that the idea of an ideal government is a paradox in and of itself, because I know there are a lot of people who think that government is bad for people.
Exactly.
I think though, if I had to pick, a type of government that I would perceive to be sort of an ideal situation for where we are and where we're headed, John, we've talked about it before. Look up fully automated luxury communism, because at the end of the day, the idea of all needs and resources being met through automation, which would give everybody the opportunity to not only live their lives happily without any necessarily needs not being met and without any responsibilities that they would need to feel stress for or anything like that. It would also open up the potential, the possibility of people really learning who they are and what they are good at and being able to contribute to whatever field it happens to be that they are best at. Like, I always tell you, John, about the old Einstein saying about how, like, if you judge a fish on its ability to fly, you're going to think that's a pretty fucking dumb fish. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, everybody has their thing that they are good at. Everybody has something that makes them special. And I've said that to John before too. And that very reason is why I don't think anyone in the world is special. I think that everyone is special and therefore nobody is special, because I think everybody has something about them, something that they can do, something that they are able to contribute to the world that sets them apart from most, if not all, other people. And I think that if you were allowed to spend your entire life, starting with childhood, trying to find what that thing is, I think that the world would be a much better place, because we would have happier people in fields doing what they're passionate about rather than doing something with the motivation being money.
Yeah, dude, I even saw like a conversation on Twitter recently where it's like, I don't understand people that think like if we had an anarcho-communist society, say, that work would no longer exist. But really, the thing is, it would just be work that you would enjoy doing, and it wouldn't be a 40-hour work week like we see in this highly industrialized capitalist society. I think it would be work that people would find meaningful, and not those meandering kind of bang my head against a wall like bureaucratic jobs like in cubicles and stuff like that. It would be like, oh, let's spruce up this park. Let's build this library. Let's do this. Let's do that. And yeah,
let's contribute to science. Let's spend, years learning how to do this shit for free, because it's more important that we know how to do it and can contribute than it is to get our fucking money from us. And then let's contribute. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah. Let's revolutionize science. Let's revolutionize culture. Like I see that. I think I even remarked once, and maybe that's why, like, fundamentally on the more utopian side, like, I am a communist. Like, I just see so much human beauty. I remember my grandmother was grilling me recently because she's very theistic, believes in God and all that. And sometimes she'll take her digs at me because she doesn't like that I'm an atheist. I'll just say that flat out. And she's like, well, you don't believe in anything. And I told her, like, I believe in people. Like, I believe human beings are capable of being so much better than what they're allowed to be right now. And if anybody would want to say that I'm not like that, I totally understand that. And I get that. But I just feel like this society inhibits people in so many ways that it almost makes you cry, like makes me cry just thinking about like how much they could do or would be capable of doing if they didn't have to worry about student debt, if they didn't have to worry about dead-end jobs, and they could just be and live their lives. And it just really sucks that that's not the kind of world that we have. And I don't know if we'll ever get there, bring it full circle back to the ideal government thing, but I think we can at least get to a government that could do, like 10 or 15-hour work weeks or whatever, improve the minimum wage, maybe even do a universal basic income, improve international relations. Again, you do a little better each time, I think. I think that's probably the most pragmatic view of politics. And yeah, that's just how I'm going to answer that.
That's my thing, though, is like you say 10, 15-hour work week. I'm thinking like no necessary work at all, because...
Oh, yeah, that's definitely the goal. I'm just being...
Well, right, but what I'm saying, though, is like people would complain like, well, if nobody works, nobody can get paid. If nobody gets paid, you can't pay taxes. If you can't pay taxes, the government can't afford things. Government doesn't need to afford anything if people don't charge money for work. Like, if there are people that are really passionate about engineering and building bridges, those people will do it. You know what I mean? Like, if there are people that are really passionate about helping people and kind of trying to health-wise help people from the human race, they're gonna do it. Like, if you give them an opportunity to do it, they're gonna do it. Like, people are passionate about different things, and yeah, like, I don't know. That's why, like, you make the grunt work that nobody is passionate about automated, and then everything else that people can genuinely get passionate about, it can do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think that mediates the conflict of like man and machine, because we need to understand like who stokes that conflict to begin with. And that's like the fucking rich capitalists and stuff like that that benefit from automation without paying their workers. I don't even think there should be a conflict between man and machine. I think it should be a harmonious relationship, as you describe. Get the machines to do the stuff that we don't give a shit about, and then our creative faculties and just our capabilities in general are completely liberated and unabated.
Yeah, like oh, we have a problem because our roads are still capable of having sinkholes in them. Well, guess what? We've got these teams of engineers that are really passionate about solving problems like that can figure out a way to fix it in a way that is permanent and will not go away in a year or two.
Exactly. Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
that kind of thing. So that would be like, to me, that's the ideal government, is that kind of like the fully automated luxury communism is number one for me. Took us longer to answer than I expected. Fourth and not quite final. He has 5 here, but fourth question from Abel: if you could do one thing without suffering the consequences, what would you do?
Oh, just eat every dessert imaginable. Like I'm a big food guy. I would just eat all the food.
You're so wholesome. Oh my god.
No, like really, like I love food so much. There's so much food. Like if we're talking about consequences, just like health wise and stuff, like no consequences. Fuck yeah, I'd be all over that. I'd eat all the worst shit, and I'd do it all up unapologetically. It would be fucking amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Eat anything I wanted. What about you?
Rob a bank.
Well, oh wow. Bitch better have my money.
That's the thing. Like, if there are no consequences, if I can commit any crime I want with no consequences, the easiest option is the one that would have consequences that would, well, not consequences, that would have positive ramifications on my life going forward. And the only real good answer to that is rob a bank, because then, by the way, you can't arrest me for robbing this bank, but now I get all this money to hold and keep and use.
I guess I want to kind of jump in that pool with you, and not as far as like the bank, but as far as like the less quote unquote wholesome answer. I'd recreate the shootout from Scarface, just that final mansion shootout.
That's still like there's still something really wholesome about it though. Well,
I mean,
recreating your favorite movie scene, it's adorable.
Yeah, but I'm recreating it though with real guns and real bodies. Like if there's no I'm going like all in real coke. I'm doing all of it. Like
yeah, of course. So would you actually go and get Al Pacino to play, take back his role and play the main?
Oh, fuck no, he knows his role on the director's chair so that he can guide me to be better than him. Be like, yeah, Pacino, this is how you do it. And I would do a better back dive than he did into the pool when he got shot in the back by that one Terminator looking motherfucker at the end of the movie. Yeah, it'd be amazing. So, Abel's fifth question.
Abel's fifth and final question: have you ever been in love? If not, what is the closest you have been to being in love?
I'd say I'm in love currently, and it's terrifying, but it's also wonderful. So, what about Ashton here?
Well, the first question is a pretty easy no. Never been in love. Closest I've ever been to being in love, though, I don't even know, man. That's like, I think what it really like. I'm a very kind of, I guess you could say, extreme as far as love goes, because like it takes a lot for me to even admit that I really like someone, much less love. But then like once I admit it, it's really hard to get it to go away. You know what I mean?
Man.
Holy shit, I thought you left. That was scary.
No, yeah, that's why I muted the mic, because like, yeah, I just had to take care of something. But no, I get what you're saying, man, because I've been there. It's like, the worst feeling in the world to
me. Like a magnet. I'm like a magnet. I will push you away, but once you get me to flip, I'm attached to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the worst feeling in the world to me, because I don't know if you've ever experienced it. It sounds like you have. I hate when you have the realization. Like, it doesn't even have to be like love necessarily. It can even just be like an attraction at like the most basic level. And it's like, oh, fuck, I'm attracted to this person. Because with me, like, I obsess over it. And it's like, I can't move on until the object of my attraction knows how I feel. And it's not even that I want them to reciprocate. It's just that I want them to know so that I can like unburden myself of these feelings. I fucking hate it.
Right. I get you. See, and I used to be that way when I was like younger, like teenage me was like that. And I don't know. It just kind of went away over time.
See, I still deal with it, admittedly. Not so much. It's gotten weaker over time, though. I hope by the time I'm in my fucking 30s, I would be over it. But I feel like my development's always been a bit later in a lot of areas simply because of how I grew up. So I'm just like a late bloomer and everything, and I'm just looking forward to this phase being over. So there you go.
All right. So up next, we got 2 questions from Ace the Skylord. First up, would you say that the Velveteen Dream is the best non-Lucha Underground gimmick in wrestling today?
Here's the thing. I'm always tentative about giving somebody the distinction of best because wrestling is such a vast terrain and there's so much I don't know.
I would say, to be fair though, I would say outside of Lucha Underground, I would make the argument that Dream is the best non-Lucha Underground character actor in wrestling today.
And I would make the same because, dude, speaking solely for myself, I was super fucking into what he did at TakeOver War Games with the Hollywood Hogan get up. And just,
right, but as far as just best gimmick goes, that's a lot harder to sign on to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But as like a character, I mean, the dude just gets it, and like very bright future. But next question from Ace.
I'm trying to think of what I would consider to be the best gimmick outside of Lucha Underground. Do you have? Oh, you know what? Probably Undisputed Era.
Yeah, I'll co-sign on to that.
Second question from Ace the Skylord. You probably got that question already, but name 5 talents you would like to see in Lucha Underground Season 5.
I mean, not going to happen now, but Walter would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, let's try and actually name people that we know at least have a shot.
Well, Flamita.
I was gonna. Yeah, that's one. I would say Flamita and Bandito both.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Bandito's fucking awesome. Definitely.
Oh, and you know what? I don't think he has a big like contract with any of the major companies in the U.S. So I'm also going to say Dragon Lee.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, dude, he'd be put him against Dark Phoenix.
Fuck yeah. Priscilla Kelly is a big one that I've wanted for a while.
That's a great one too.
And then, oh shit, she's with TNA now. Never mind. I was going to say Jordan Grace, but she's locked up. God, I would love Angelico to come back, but I don't think that that's fair for me to say because I don't think he wants to come back.
Right. I'd still love to know the story behind that, like why he's so sour on that.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Since we already got Stu Bennett, I'll name the other ex-WWE guy that I really hope we end up seeing in Lucha Underground at one point, and that is God, I forget his real name. Guy that played Leo Kruger.
Adam Rose. I
don't think it's an Adam. That was Adam Rose.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of his real name though.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up.
It's gonna be a face slapper. Ray Lapon, that's right.
Yeah, Ray Lapon. That's it. Yeah, really all great choices, dude. I co-sign on to all your choices. I don't even really know what I can add. I'd like to see Desmond Xavier back. I don't know if he just did like a 1 or 2 match deal.
Excuse me, John. It's Desmond X.
Oh, sorry. Desmond X. Really loved his appearance there. Trying to think of.
Oh, you know what? Here's a name. Pac. Hello.
Oh, dude. Well, there you go. That's fucking it for me. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
All right. We've got 3 questions from Ella. None of them are for both of us. She's got 2 for me and 1 for you. First up is just for me. First 2 are just for me, actually. So the first one is, with New England getting the number 2 seed this past weekend in the AFC and holding the tiebreaker over Kansas City, do you think that they are going to get the number 1 seed by the time the playoffs happen? And you know what? I'm going to actually look up Kansas City and New England's remaining schedule. And you know what? I'll also look up Houston, LA, and Pittsburgh's remaining schedules as well, because those are all teams that are kind of in that hunt for the number 1 seed. Kansas City, let's see. They have the Raiders. That's an easy win. Ravens, Chargers, Seahawks, and it's at Seattle. So that's 3 potential losses on their schedule. Worst case scenario to the Chiefs is they finish 11-5. Best case scenario, there aren't any teams on here that they can't beat. So best case scenario, it would be just 14-2. Patriots are 8-3. And they play the Vikings, Dolphins, Steelers, Bills, and Jets. That is an ugly-ass schedule as far as just weak-ass teams go. The Vikings are really the only team out of – and the Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh Those are the two games that I could see them possibly dropping, but I really can't imagine them losing to the Dolphins. Oh, I know. You know what? The Dolphins in Miami, Tom Brady is just worse in Miami for some reason. So I'm going to chalk that up as an L for sure. But they're not going to lose to Buffalo or the Jets at home. They're probably not going to lose to the Vikings at home either. But they do have 2 away games at Miami and at Pittsburgh. Those are 2 potential losses. So again, 11-5 is their worst case scenario, but 13-3 is their best case scenario. Houston, on the other hand, they face Cleveland, Indianapolis, the Jets, Eagles, and Jaguars. Those are all winnable for Houston. Houston's best case scenario is definitely still 13-3. Worst case scenario, though, man, I don't know, because Cleveland's been scrappy lately. Ever since Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley left, they've been doing much better offensively. They are a threat to win any given game. The Colts have been on fire lately. The Jets are a pretty easy win. The Eagles are a pretty easy win. And I would say the Jags at home are a pretty easy win. So I'd say worst case scenario, we'll even say that one of those 3 games are losable for the Texans. So worst case scenario for Houston then would be I think that works out to 10-6. So Houston's worst case scenario, 10-6. Best case scenario, though, would be 13-3. The Chargers at Pittsburgh, that looks like a loss. At Kansas City, that looks like a loss. At home against Baltimore could be a loss. At Denver could be a loss. I'm going to cross LA, the Chargers, out. I don't think they're going to win it, and their coaching isn't as good either. The Steelers are 7-3-1, which means they're probably not going to do it. At home against the Chargers could be a loss. At home against the Patriots could be a loss. At New Orleans is definitely a loss. Yeah, I'm going to cross out the Steelers as well. So it really comes down to Houston, New England, and Kansas City. And only one of those teams can run the table and guarantee the number 1 seed. So I'm going to just say I still think the Chiefs are going to retain that number 1 seed. I think that the game on their schedule that they are most likely to lose is at Seattle, but I still think Kansas City is a good enough team to win that. I'm going to just say I think Kansas City is going to keep the number 1 seed. So next question from Ella. Which NFL team has performed better than you expected so far this season, and which one has performed worse? The Vikings have actually outperformed my expectations this season. I thought that they were going to be out of the playoffs. I didn't think that they were going to be this good again because I felt like last year was more fluky because of how amazing Case Keenum played for them. But here they are, still kind of sticking around in the playoff picture right now. If the season ended right now, they would be in the playoffs, and they would actually be the 5 seed. They would get in as the first wild card team. As far as a team that has played worse than I expected, definitely the Eagles. The Eagles and the Packers, really. I expected both of those teams to do really well this season, and especially Green Bay. I had Green Bay actually in the Super Bowl, and I think I might have even had them winning the Super Bowl because of how much better their defense looked on paper going into the season. But I don't know what's going on with them. It seems like Rodgers has not had a great year that you would kind of expect from a guy like him. I also think at the end of the day that they have a major coaching problem. Mike McCarthy is just kind of not good, and they have a lot of young guys on offense between they have 3 rookies that have seen playing time this season as wide receivers. Their running backs are kind of young. They just have a lot of youth, and that kind of leads to maybe underperforming a little bit. And unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers can't win games by himself. And even defensively, I feel like they've been pretty average. So yeah, I just expected a lot more from Green Bay. So I guess we can move on. John, this is your question from Ella. Can you do a rant on the Grinch for being a dick? I think this is meant for like Johnny Goodfellow because it kind of seems like that.
Well, ranting's just so impolite and improper, though. Oh, geez.
To be fair, she didn't have Jay Goodfellow or Johnny Goodfellow it was specifically said for John. So if you want to not do the Goodfellow thing and just do a rant on the Grinch for being a dick as John.
All right, hold on. Oh, okay. Oh, God, that's always disgusting. Yeah, here's the thing about that. You're only supposed to do a rant if you hate the thing in question.
Dude, I knew it. So you know what you should do? Let's switch it up. Do a rant on the Grinch for seeing the light at the end of the movie and not doubling down.
Yeah, man, fuck you. We were so close. Fuck those Whovians. all gathering around a little tree. Dahu Dores, Dahu Dores. Fuck you in that stupid fucking song. And God, that fucking Christmas feast with like all the toys everywhere. How can you even eat in peace? Like, it just gives me anxiety just thinking about it. And really, let's all like fess up to what it fucking is, okay? It's the Grinch endorsing materialism. Because you know what? He actually gave those people Christmas. If you really think about it, yeah. When he took away everything, even though he meant to break Christmas, he could have just been like, wow, this is the real spirit of Christmas. Look at these people all coming together. I still would have thrown the toys in the fire because maybe it would have just been like, hey, they've all captured the true spirit of Christmas. Now there's no need to go buy fucking toys and ruin the environment and exploit labor and do all this shit. You were a revolutionary, man. You understood it. You saw what it was all about. You threw it all fucking away because your heart had to go and have like a fucking cardiovascular problem of fucking enlargement. Hearts aren't meant to be that big. You're going to die. Okay? Oh, God. Fucking worst. The worst. He had it. He was right there. And he's like, oh no, I'm so touched by all this. And oh, Cindy Lou Who should get fucking bitch smacked. How dare you like stay up past your bedtime to ask Santa, what are you doing with the tree? Bitch, I'm Santa. This is what I do. This is my business. Go back to bed. But does anybody ever fucking listen? No. No. Fuck you, Grinch. And fuck you, Whovians. You all fucking suck. And you know what? No. Here's how I want to end the rant. Because you know what? I haven't said this joke in a while, and it's horrible, but if you're going to ask me this question, you're all going to suffer too. You know what? I'm going to tell you guys a quick story. Me and my sister were going through the drive-thru at McDonald's, and she's a big Dr. Seuss fan. And she, like, was about to make her order right at the intercom. And you know what? I looked her dead in the eye, and I said to her, hey, Christy, you know what my favorite Dr. Seuss book is? His last one, because then he died. And she laughed right in the intercom, and she couldn't even order her fries. That's what you deserve, Dr. Seuss. Go fuck yourself.
That rant in the middle started to feel very much like Quentin Tarantino when he does rants in his movies.
I don't even know what that means, but let's just move on to our next question.
It's a compliment. Don't worry about it.
Hooray.
Next set of questions is from Ben. By the way, Ella, I'm so sorry for corrupting your question, but you weren't going to get anything. It was like trying to get blood from a stone, asking John to rant on the Grinch for doing bad things. You're going to only get John to rant on the Grinch for deciding to go back away from the bad things. So, Ben Jr. has 3 questions. First up, excluding wrestling, what makes you very passionate? I mean, this is kind of easy. They kind of already knew this.
I mean, philosophy for me.
And yeah. And I won't even just say football, but really analyzing things and breaking them down to their most basic points and trying to maximize efficiency with things is really my passion, because I do that with everything. I do that with wrestling. I mean, you remember my 4-face theory, John. I do that with football. I do that with video games. Anything that I can break down and try and manipulate and figure out how something works, I'm into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Second question from Ben Jr. What made you guys start doing videos about wrestling? So to be clear, we never intended to do videos as far as TWitWoW goes. It was originally meant to be a podcast, and it was on iTunes for over a year, I want to say. It was like a year and a half or so that it was on iTunes. And the decision to go to the video format was a financial one, because Podbean costs $20 a month and YouTube pays you. So we went from in the red to in the black over the course of a few years of being on YouTube. So yeah, it was definitely a financial decision. As far as let's alter this a little bit to make it easier or less of an easy question to answer though. And you can answer this too, John. I'll let you go first. What made you to start doing videos about wrestling on YouTube by yourself in the first place?
Oh, I mean, for me,
back in the pacifist days.
Back in the pacifist days. Oh God. Yeah. First of all, my marketing was shit back then, and I feel like it's only gotten marginally better now. Although I really am proud of the marketing I've done with my philosophy, but that's neither here nor there. You know, I came up in the age, you know, with the whole pacifist thing, with like the Spitternets and stuff like that. And I was a big Spitternet 1 fan at the time.
Spitternet.
Yeah.
And RVD Tito for life.
Yeah, I'm less familiar with that. I'm guessing that was more your experience. I'm trying to
think
about like
and DCF 777 Steven.
Yeah. He was always a good dude. Always a good dude.
He was the first person that I've ever had recommend PWG to me.
Oh wow, yeah, he was a big PWG guy. That was like one of his defining traits. That, like, I associated it with him as, like, you know, and his videos on Kane's World Championship run I loved, because he was just like, well, Kane's actually a great fucking world champion, because, like, you know, it's not about work rate, it's about like talking people into the building, and like his promos have been fantastic, and I agree with them. I love Kane's promos in 2010, but you know, for me doing videos, it was more like just seeing those guys do it, and I just found something really exhilarating about the prospect of making something so public and like having that dialogue with other fans, like, about something that I love. And I remembered my first ever video. I think it was about, like, it was either a top 10 or it might have even had something to do with Shelton Benjamin. And my mouth was like far away from my mic, and I was using my Vista, I think. So it was the built-in mic. So the quality obviously wasn't the best. And my God, I've come a long way since then, just from the technological side, you know, because I'm using a studio mic now and stuff like that. And, you know, so my mouth wasn't too close to it. I repeated a lot. I was very nervous. That's why anytime somebody starts out with videos, I'm never too critical of them, because I remember how I started. And, you know, some people like to be freeform. Other people like to do scripts. I've found that some kind of middle road is best. But, yeah, that first video was a wreck. It didn't get any traction, but I just kept, like, pumping stuff out. And then I remember that Spinnernet actually plugged me, and that's when I got my initial surge in subs, and then I felt the pressure to just make videos constantly. And I've learned that just because you have, like, a larger audience doesn't mean that the demand itself has been enlarged. You could still make videos at a nice pace, and they probably actually prefer it because you're not overstuffing their sub box. So yeah, it was a growing period for me, for sure, but definitely some fond memories in there. It's just a shame that a lot of stupid, pointless fucking drama really sullied my my memories a lot, but still some positives there. You know,
so on my end, I like I've always I never really put my voice out there unless I feel like I have something to add to the discussion that nobody else is adding to it, right? And as far as when I started making videos, that was a few months after I had started a blog that I wanted to really start posting like wrestling related subjects on. And the reason that I started that blog was because John actually inspired me to start it. He didn't know it at the time, but John actually inspired me to start this blog because he was making points that I wanted to either agree with or contend with respectfully. And I started making blog posts and showing John my blog posts on YouTube's sort of messenger system. And he loved them so much that he started plugging them. So it was at that point that I was like, okay, maybe I can do this video thing. So I decided to kind of hype up my debut on YouTube like you would a wrestler debut. So I put out a video that was called Announcement of an Announcement. And it was like YouTube had this weird like video creator back then where you could choose a scene and then you could kind of like design like an avatar that represents you. And then you could choose a voice and you had to type the script and the voice would read it. And it was basically just my, you know, typing saying, you know, something's going to happen. There's going to be a great debut. And then I gave the date and it was 11/11/11. And then like a month before that, I put out another video talking about how I was ready for war because I knew that my opinions were going to have a lot of dissent. And then on 11/11/11, I put out a video literally titled "You Are All Marks." So, and in those 2 months, I met John. We started talking on Skype. We kind of became fast friends in that time. And he started plugging my YouTube channel that had no actual content on it yet. And that pissed a lot of people off. So immediately you just know that we're just going to, you know, last forever because John is, you know, hyping me up before I've done anything and people are getting angry at him for it. So when you get a bunch of people angry, you're probably doing something right. And then, yeah, I put out a video that was inspired basically by Al Snow's kayfabe commentary shoot, where he just starts talking, you know, ranting about how Macho Man versus Ricky Steamboat was not the best match at WrestleMania 3, and it was Hulk Hogan versus Andre because that was the match that sold all the tickets that people came to see and that kind of stuff. And basically, Al Snow saying that the only way that you can truly judge a match and whether it was good or not is by the gate, whether people come back to see, you know, the show again. And me at the time, having also kind of paid attention to like OTRS Central, at the time it was just the Off the Rope show or the Over the Rope show, I don't remember, with Schleg Daddy and all of his buddies when they were actually all still there, and it wasn't just a one man show with the Schleg Daddy. And they kind of had a similar point of view of like, match quality doesn't really matter that much. What really matters is just entertaining people and making sure that they come back and stuff like that. And what I didn't realize at the time was that they were just kind of using logical fallacies to make up for their own opinions. Like they had these opinions, and it just so happened that certain logic backed up their opinions. And when that logic failed, they didn't back off of it. They just kept driving it into the hole. So, yeah, like I've always been easily influenced to a degree, which is why I would be a horrible politician. But at the end of the day, I've changed a lot, and my opinions have changed a lot since then, and stuff like that. And really now, I just am at the point that I like what I like, and you like what you like, and if we disagree, I don't give a shit.
I think we make a fantastic team, bud. Really, when I think about how you and I came together, I'm really proud of it.
And speaking of, as far as TWitWoW itself goes, the way that happened was it was completely off the cuff. I literally went to bed one night after having listened to the Masked Man show, which I don't even know if it's around anymore. But it was a wrestling podcast with the Masked Man, and I think Rosenberg, actually. Pete Rosenberg was the co-host in that. And they just pissed me off so much because they were just pissing and shitting on a show that I really enjoyed. And it made me think, God, I really want to talk about how much I like the show and how good it is and how all this negativity is like bad for the wrestling community. I want to make a positive wrestling podcast. And I came to John the next day and I was like, hey, man, I want to start a wrestling podcast, but I don't want to do it unless I have a good co-host. And you have an amazing voice. Will you do this with me? That's basically what it was.
And I don't even think, I actually give you a harder time now on simpler shit. Like, oh, hey, do you want to watch Harry Potter and stuff like that? I actually feel like I said yes pretty readily to the whole podcast.
Yeah, you totally were down for it, yeah.
And, yeah, that's what I mean, though, when I say that I'm so proud of what we've been able to do, not even on a technical level, even though that in itself is impressive. And again, guys, I always say it's all thanks to this guy. Ashton's work ethic and everything else, and just how organized he is. It's amazing. I couldn't do what he does, just straight up. But I gotta say, I don't think I've ever had more fun doing videos on YouTube than with him. Because I think what makes us such a great dynamic is the one thing that made me want to quit doing this in the first place. And that's that I think we stay very insulated from the drama. Because the moment that shit starts, it becomes fucking insufferable. And I think we've always been very good about mitigating that and minimizing it and all that stuff. And I know I can count on him. I try and show up on my end as best as I can. Sometimes, we can get a bit exhausted, but, we're the workhorses, right? So we do G1s and stuff, and we're like, oh, man, another one. But on the whole, it's so much fun doing this with him because it's just such a positive environment in the sense that I know we're not going to have to deal with drama bullshit. If anything, it'll be more technical bullshit like, oh, we have to find the show or we have to do this or we have to do that, which I deal with that 1,000,000 to 1 over, oh man, this channel got hacked. Oh man, this person's posing as this person. I am over that. And I think having a healthy kind of
that was such an interesting time with YouTube. I just remember because here, let me tell you how I remember things happening, and you can correct anything that I get wrong. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So I remember you doing commentaries, and you always had somebody that you like to feature every month. You had one person that you would pick and you would feature that person every month. You would plug them. And one month it ended up being Preston. And I think he was the psycho shooter at the time. And you were so into his stuff and his upside that you brought him in and made him a part of your channel rather than just keeping him around for the 1 month.
Right.
That pissed your fans off so much that one or two of them got together and were like, first of all, there was a lot of harassment going on for you and him. But then eventually one or two of them got together and somehow got you or him or the two of you to give one of them the password to your channel.
Yeah, it was this whole, I could write a book simply on that drama alone because they had somebody come and now I don't really care because the president doesn't even make fucking wrestling videos anymore. and told her like whatever. And again, I'm in a safer place to like talk about it. He had given the password out without me knowing it, and that really pissed me off because then we were compromised. So then I had to
See,
go.
and that part right there, that it was Preston that gave the password out in the first place, I never knew about that. I thought that this was a decision you guys made together.
No, he gave it because like I was shocked to hear that like he like we talked about it, but we didn't come to any decision, and I didn't think like he would act on anything without me. So that really pissed me off. And yeah, it was just this whole thing. And really, and that's why I've even said like for anybody that's come to offer me, because I've been propositioned like, oh, would you do this video with us? Oh, would you be a part of this? I just prefer working with it because I have too many negative experiences working with other people and then like venturing out of this. TWitWoW is a consistently good thing. I like structure. I'd like to think I'm not as obsessive about it as Dex, kind of a Daredevil season 3 reference there since we're in the midst of that. But it's been very good for me, and yeah, I'm just very proud of what we've been able to do together. And I think about those early days, and there were some good times, but it's been so mired by shit. I'm just really happy to be here rather than being jaded and not doing YouTube at all. So
yeah, because I do remember the whole thing with one of you guys, and I guess it turns out now we know who gave the password out and like then claiming that you were hacked. And I was just like, well, it's not really being hacked if you give your password willingly.
Yeah.
And then like they basically took over the channel. They changed the password so you guys couldn't get in. They took over the channel. You guys started a new channel. I don't even remember what that was called. And then
wasn't it the Beer Money 2K thing?
No, that came later. Beer Money 2K was later. This was a different channel that you guys started that was just the two of you and you were letting other people in. But then yeah, like you and he made videos talking about how you were hacked. And then it was Bone Duster and I don't remember who else. And they
Ireland's Patriot.
they were basically making videos saying like, fuck Preston, we want John. If Preston keeps making videos, we're not going to give you your password back. That was their whole thing. And then you basically just cut your losses and hightailed it out of there. And I think Bone Duster continued uploading from your pacifist account for a little while and then kind of gave up on it. And you and Preston at that point, well, that was when you decided to make Beer Buddy 2K, was when you just completely gave up and just decided to cut your losses and move on. You made the new channel, and then we all kind of, the Horseman thing happened. And that lasted all of maybe like 3 months, if that.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. I even thinking about it, honestly, I won't say it like gives me anxiety. It exhausts me, even just mentally thinking about it, because it was so much bullshit. Let me tell you something, folks. Iconic said he was gonna be hopefully starting a gaming channel soon. My biggest thing, do not overcomplicate YouTube. I mean, it's going to have natural complications if you're in it for like the monetary and looking to make it into a sustainable thing. But even then, the complications are run of the mill. Do not overcomplicate shit. You can keep it really simple. I feel like that's another thing, even with all the content that we do. Me and Ashton talk about it. If it's a yes, great, we find time. If it's a no, then we just don't do it. Hell, we've even skimmed stuff. We don't do Raw and SmackDown TWitWoWs anymore because we just didn't like it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the big thing with us is like we don't want to cover things that we don't enjoy. And if we kind of over time start to realize that we're not enjoying something, we want to be able to make the decision to not cover it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's really just my biggest advice is like, don't overcomplicate. I know that's very like broad stroke advice, but believe me, just given where I came from to end up here, there were a lot of things that I didn't have to have happen that I did let happen because of misplaced obligations and this, that, and the other. If you know the easiest path from A, B to C, fucking take it. Don't make more work for yourself than you have to. And because that'll keep the love alive too. Trust me. So yeah, that was a really long discussion that I wasn't anticipating.
Yeah. You know what, though? Let's move on. Third question from Ben Jr. If you were to miraculously become president for a day, what would you do?
Oh, God. President for a day.
Is there anything that the president can get done in one day at all? I want to say no. So, like,
yeah,
find out where a bunch of people at the top sit at council meetings and put some kind of trap on the chair to put them in the hospital or something. I don't know.
Hell yeah. Like, I'll answer this question two ways. One, if we're dealing with ideals, which we kind of talked about earlier, and one, if we're just being very straightforward. If we're being straightforward, fucking nothing, I guess. I guess, like you, I would try and use my resources to maybe do some good. If it was ideal, though, the biggest thing I would do is I would recall all U.S. troops stationed across the world, and I would majorly slash the defense budget, and I would reallocate it to education, medicine, stuff like that.
Yeah, like that. I mean, yeah, like if we're talking like you can magically get things done, like you can basically wish things done as a president, because that's the thing. Like even just slashing the defense budget, that's like not something that happens in fewer than multiple months.
Right, exactly. So
that's like a big deal thing. So yeah. You feel like, let's get a bill that'll slash the defense budget significantly, and then the next day Trump's like, oh fuck this, and he fucking shreds it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that'd be the best that I can hope for, but that's about it.
All right. Up next, we've got our final 4 questions from Alex Foster.
We still ended at a decent time, given these are the final 4, even with the long-winded answers at some point. Yep. So let's
first up, what wrestlers in character would make good, bad, or at least interesting stand-up comics?
Wrestlers in character that would make good comics?
New Day.
Yes, immediately good comics there, because I feel like they'd be those rapid fire comics where even if some jokes didn't land, they wouldn't have time to really marinate because another joke.
Yeah, they'd be improv too. They would be really good at improv.
Miz could go either way, I think.
Oh yeah, Miz would be good. And you know what? Who else would be good at improv comedy? The Iconics, and especially Billy Kay.
Yeah, I actually really like those. I think we could kind of put a pin in this question right now. Like those are really good answers.
All right. Yeah, well, who would be really bad? Who would be really bad? He said good, bad, or interesting. So
I feel like everything about Dolph Ziggler's existence is bad, and so his.
But Dolph Ziggler already is like a mildly successful stand-up comic, so at least he's kind of good at it. Like he wouldn't be like horrendously bad. You know who would be horrendously bad as a stand-up comic is Alexa Bliss.
Yeah. Charlotte.
Anybody who takes themselves seriously and thinks they're genuinely funny when they tell dumbass jokes, that's the kind of person that would make a horrible stand-up comic.
I would say Charlotte, because I don't think she can handle being heckled by the crowd, which would happen.
No, yeah, you're totally right. Oh my god, yeah, that would be.
I am telling jokes.
Stop booing me. The queen is speaking.
Let me do my set.
Oh, what about
Abel had a great answer. R-Truth would be fucking amazing on the good side.
Oh yeah, I was thinking, what about dudes though? We've only named women as far as bad stand-up comics.
Oh yeah, I don't want to feed into any unhealthy stereotypes. AJ would probably be a horrible comic because he's already made bad jokes on the mic. I can't imagine he would translate well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, AJ would be fucking horrible.
Sami Zayn would be a really, really bad stand-up comic.
You think so?
I mean, he's enthusiastic enough that people would still probably give him pity laughs, but it would be bad.
Yeah, okay. See, I can't say Samoa Joe would be bad because if anybody would heckle him, he'd just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, I had Joe on my mind earlier, but didn't say. Cesaro, bad joke Cesaro would at least be interesting.
Yes, definitely.
I think we can end it there. Second, Foster, if you guys had your own space to cut promos in, like the Usos, Sanity, the Wyatts, etc., where would it be? John would be in a fucking office building.
Oh yeah, I'd be in my study. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Like, corncob pipe reading book. Oh, hello there. And then just cut my promo. Fancy seeing you here.
I would start the revolution of cutting promos while driving.
Ooh, yeah.
They already do ride along. I would use the ride along setup to cut my promos. I would talk right to the camera while I was at lights or stop signs or whatever. And I would cut my promo while I was driving.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds fucking great. Forget texting while driving. Try promoing, Marks.
Yeah, boy.
Oh my god. Next question.
Are there wrestlers in New Japan that you feel are overlooked? Show.
Yeah, Show definitely. He's a big one. Yeah, Show actually is the best answer because I'm even thinking about other people and I feel like they're good in their spot, I'll say. Yeah, that works for me. So can we think of anybody else though?
There's another name that I have to bring up, and I just have to remember what his actual name is. He's a young lion. Ayato Yoshida.
Okay.
God, I can't wait for him to go on an expedition, and I hope he goes somewhere that we know about.
Oh yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Or CMLL, because CMLL is just capable of producing amazingness.
All right, next question.
The final question of the November of 2018 Q&A. If Ashton invited Jaden Yuki into the Scum Squad, how great would our lives be?
You know, I saw that question, and I've had nearly over 2 hours, closer to 3, to really mull over how I would answer. You know, I love Ashton. I tease him a lot, but I do. I love him, but I would have to pull him aside and have a very firm talk with him. And I'd be like, look, man, you're an intelligent guy. I don't know if it's the brain tumor. I don't know if it was like a gas leak in your house. I don't know what the fuck you were thinking with this bullshit, but you were going to go over there. You're going to tell him that he does not have a place in the Scum Squad because you want to talk about happiness. I mean, just come out and say it, Foster. You would be happy, and other people that have your affinity for my misery would be happy because Major Shot and Freuda would go on. But how happy would all of us be? Yeah, that's a crock of horse shit because I'd be fucking miserable and I'd want to bludgeon him in the fucking face. And I would bludgeon him in the face and not Ashton because I love his face, even though it makes very, very serious mistakes that we need to talk about. So that's my answer to the question. And I personally think I gave a very level-headed response there. So curious what Ashton has to say.
I am so sorry for this question even suggesting that I have the capability of doing this, John.
It's okay. I don't blame you. Foster, he does things. He thinks because he has beautiful hair, he can do whatever he wants, and he's wrong. And he needs to learn that he's wrong. So here we are.
I can't really say anything.
There we go. So that's Q&A.
No, we did get another question from Foster. He had 5, and I told him he had 5, and he ended up getting his 5th one in. So let me go find that then. Here we go. Alex Foster. If you guys were in wrestlers/commentators' ears, what would you say to them during segments?
Be fucking passionate. Like, really what I would tell wrestlers.
Oh, come on. You try to tell me you wouldn't fuck with them just a little.
Well, okay. I'm going to give 2 answers. The fuck with them answer and then the genuine answer. If I knew that wrestlers were being scripted, I'd be like, look, throw the script out. Speak genuinely. Speak genuinely. Like I'd just over and over. Speak genuinely. That's not you. You know, where's your voice? But then for people that I hate, I just with Charlotte, I'd be like, you know, you shouldn't even be here, right? You know, you'd rather play volleyball, right? You know, you'll never be good at this, right? Right. and then
see, and if it was somebody that I didn't like, I'd get really up close and I'd do like asthma shit, like,
yeah.
Hey, how's your promo going? You having fun out there? I would be trying to fuck with him.
Dude, all of those same lines I would put on my Stewie was, so you're cutting a little promo? And you're promoting the pay-per-view? And you're opening the buy rates? And you're making sure people are interested in the program? And you're really doing pay by numbers? And you're really coming off across really angry? And just like, that.
And if I genuinely wanted to do my best to make sure that the product was as good as possible, I would literally say nothing. I would just keep the headset away from everyone else.
Look at you being responsible. So proud of you.
Yeah, because the best advice for somebody when they are out there live is no advice, because if they're not prepared for it, they need to be able to sink or swim on their own.
All right, there we go.
All right. I think that's it. That's everything. That's all the questions for November. I think we can close it out here, guys. This was a lot of fun. This is probably my favorite Q&A in quite a while.
Yeah, honestly, dude, even though we went for a really long time, well, you know, long, I guess, relative to a Q&A. I know we've done.
I mean, yeah, because here's the thing, dude. We've also got to remember this was one of our longest Q&As. Because let me pull up. We've been doing Q&As for over 2 years now, which feels crazy to be able to say, but we've been doing Q&A for 2 years now. And most of them go for around 2.5 hours. Like they range between like 2 and 3 hours. The longest one ever, longest Q&A that we ever did was over 4 hours. So, but yeah, most as far as recent ones go, you know, there's 242, 242, 228, 251. So we're actually right around the usual, right around where we normally are.
Right. Yeah,
but the thing is, we got to donate more, or not donate. We'll still donate to the Patreon, but we got to dedicate more time to the questions because there were fewer of them.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I thought it worked out great. Clearly, you thought the same. And so, yeah, I guess, guys, before I hand it over to Ashton to take us home, I just want to alert you when the next Q&A is going to be Christmas edition. It's going to be Thursday, the 27th of December, 2 days after Christmas. Remember,
Look at
guys.
that. I'm so glad it's not on Christmas Day. That would have been miserable. No one would have wanted to show up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's in 4 weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks. I think this is Q&A number 29, which is
the one that we're doing right now is 29. It'll be 30.
Oh, wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Abel's birthday is December 28th. Oh, and that was another thing. Sal wanted us to sing happy birthday for him.
Oh, but I already did a really sentimental call for him last night. Do we really have to? I have a horrible singing voice. I guess I'll go low.
Well, no, let's just happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sal. Happy birthday to you.
Yay!
There we go. All right, Sal. We need to send Sal that timestamp so he can hear that we actually did do that for him.
Absolutely. So yeah, guys. December 27th. Last Thursday of every month. Patreon donors get 5 questions per Q&A. Non-Patreon donors get 3. I'm really pleased with how this model worked. I thought it was going to be a lot worse. And I will have the pinned tweet on my profile to collect Q&A questions. If you want to be like a Patreon donor and get those questions, I mean, it kind of resets into next month. So the minimum you can donate is $3 for Discord access. I'm not going to go into the whole spiel about like the win. I just want to keep focused on Q&A for now. And yeah, ask us anything you like. We clearly got a nice variety of questions here, and divvy them up however you like, and we'll be sure to get to them. So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to Ashton to take us home.
Hell yeah, guys. I'm over the moon right now. I'm so feeling good. I hope you guys all enjoyed this Q&A. I know we did. And yeah, this was a lot of fun, and hopefully we get similar amount, maybe even a little more. I wouldn't mind getting up to like the 60, 65 range as far as the number of questions. If you are in the Discord though, I will say if you are in the Discord, we would definitely prefer that you ask your questions in the Discord. Because I know that they were kind of spread out this time. It's not a necessity. I'm not saying you have to, but if you're in the Discord, why not use it, right? I mean, we have the Q&A tab in the Discord so that you can specifically go in there to ask your questions. That's what it's there for. If you're not in the Discord, though, you can, your best options are either to reply to John's pinned tweet or to just ask the question on YouTube via a comment. There are other options. Like we know Foster's going to ask it on Facebook and stuff like that, but we would prefer one of those 3 options. If you're in the Discord, use that. Otherwise, Twitter or YouTube are ideal. And yeah, so we're going to close it out here. This was a lot of fun. We hope that you guys enjoyed hearing our answers to your questions this month. And we will see you again on December 27th. And yeah, everyone in the chat is asking people to like the video, and I'll double down on that sentiment. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you're not new, but you just haven't decided whether you want to subscribe or not. I think this is the one that'll get you over the top. Go ahead and click that subscribe. You know you want to. And then when you do, you can click the bell too, because then you get notified whenever we go live. And, if we ever decide to upload a video that isn't just a live stream, you'll get a notification for that too. You can also follow us both on Twitter. You already know that John's pinned tweet is going to be one that you can reply to in order to ask Q&A questions for next month. My pinned tweet is going to be the schedule, which I will try my best to have up to date as quickly as possible. Thankfully, we have a good few days in between the first and the next time that we would do a recording, because, that gives Patreon time to kind of process everything and for us to be able to pull our patrons and that kind of stuff and be able to figure out what we're going to be covering for the month of December. I have a vague idea of what you guys are going to want us to do, but I'm not going to make any declarative statements yet because I just never know with our subscribers, with our patrons. And also, speaking of patrons, you can donate to the Patreon. If you donate anything at all, you're going to be able to ask 5 questions for Q&A. If you donate $3 a month, you will be able to get into the Discord. And no matter how much you donate every month, it will all accumulate over time and allow you to use that money that you save up over time to request live reactions to wrestling shows of your choosing. And of course, you can also buy our merch on Teespring. And finally, we ask that you share the channel And, you know, Q&A videos aren't really the best for someone to kind of just enter the TWitWoW universe in. So maybe don't specifically share this video with your friends, but share our live reactions, you know, share our reviews, share all that kind of fun stuff with all your wrestling fan friends and let them in on the best kept secret in the YouTube wrestling community. We are TWitWoW, and we are the workhorses of the YWC. And we will see you guys. You know what? I'm gonna do something a little different here. I don't know when we're going to see you next because we don't have anything else planned, I don't think, for the rest of this month. I think this is the last commentary of the month. And the next commentary that we do will be in December. And I don't know what we're covering for December. So at the very, very, very least, we will see you. I mean, shit, I really can't even say because we're going to be covering something on Tuesday, Monday, and or Wednesday. We'll see how that works out. I don't know how it's going to happen, though. So I don't really know whether we're going to be covering. And here are the options. Here's what we might be covering in December. If none of the patron donations are declined, Progress and Monday Night Raw, one of the two, is a possibility. I doubt one of them will get chosen over the other options, but it is a possibility. But here are the other options. SmackDown Live, NXT UK, 205 Live, NXT at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. And we'll think about, John, I'm just going to put it out there. If our patrons would vote for it, would you be willing to live react to Impact on Thursdays?
Yeah, I'd be open to that. I mean, hell,
okay, so that would be an option then too. So those are all of the options that our patrons might choose to have us live react to over the course of December. That's a really interesting little selection right there. And you'll find out what we're live reacting to either on Monday if we live react to Raw, or Tuesday if we live react to SmackDown, or Wednesday, because we're definitely going to be live reacting to something on one of those 3 days, if not more than one of those days. So it's going to be a really interesting process over the weekend trying to figure out what it is that we're going to be covering for December. But until then, we hope that you all remember to keep your ear to that notification bell and stay tuned.